one on the Orient charts. Every number one for 83 in the press. Ow! Every number one on the Orient charts. Every number one for 83 in the press. Every number one on the Orient charts. Every number one for 83 in the press. Ow! Every number one on the Orient charts. Every number one for 83 in the press. And every 3 in the press. Wow!
Hello, I'm Ben.
Hi, I'm Tom.
And you're listening to Sunglasses at Night podcast. The year is 2006.
Yes, this is the podcast where we put on our time Ray-Bans and travel back through time, have a look at the pop number ones and, the subsequent events surrounding them from a year in history via the ARIA charts, the Australian Recording Industry Association charts. And, yep, as you say, this year is 2006.
Absolutely, Tom. Now, look, the last few weeks we've had a lot of songs, sort of 20 songs or a lot, and the podcast. We have less this episode, just a spoiler alert for the fans out there, less songs. But I know everyone that listens demands 4 hours of content each week. They want 4 hours, they want no less than 4 hours, which is why I've got a few news stories up, and you've got a few as well, correct? So we can sort of throw those out there, and that'll, we can pad this out, because if it only goes for 3.5 hours, people will be demanding some sort of refund, despite the fact that this is free, but it's all good. So, Tom, 2006, if you can believe it, 16 years ago, I know I can't, Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, died.
Oh my goodness, was that 16 years ago?
He was stabbed in the heart by some sort of manta ray or stingray, and passed away. And
it was weirdly, simultaneously, an extremely unlikely event.
Yep.
In that it is a very non-aggressive creature it has no poison, no venom or anything like that. It has like one spike on its tail. You'd have to be very, very unlikely for this to happen. But simultaneously, his entire career was based around annoying wild animals.
It was bound to happen.
That could potentially kill him. So, the surprise was merely that it was a relatively placid animal and not that he ended up with his entire head bitten off by an alligator.
A Komodo dragon or something like that. So, can you remember where you were, Tom, when you heard the news? Were you
I think I was watching the immediate landslide of TV tributes to our Steve and
absolutely
Americans, right. Because Americans liked him as well, so we needed double the tributes.
We did, absolutely. So look, I think I was probably trolling YouTube to try and find the actual video of him dying, but
it's kind of sad though. I mean, he really was loved, and he had 3 kids too. That's not.
Well, that's the thing, larger than life character. So it was sad.
Did he have 3 kids?
I believe so. I think he had maybe 2 or 3. I don't know. I'm not sure, but. You're right, completely. He went out doing what he loved, I guess.
Yeah, same as Warnie. He went out doing what he loved. Some hookers in Thailand and a bunch of coke.
Exactly.
Sorry, I mean he had a heart attack in Thailand.
Of course, yeah. We they don't put Ladyboy gangbang on the
that's right
on the death certificate.
You've got to read between the lines in the obituary to get to
absolutely that. Right. So that was big news, sad news. Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes got married.
Oh, okay. Yes.
By a Scientology minister, which translates as an out-of-work actor who had done enough auditing to get all the things out. So that was big news at the time. 16 years on, no one probably... people still like Tom Cruise, don't they? I assume
I think they probably like his more now, weirdly. He's kind of passed through this zone of... For a while there, everybody was convinced he was just a closeted nutbag, and hadn't done... And then, the Mission Impossible films really took off and, people got to like his single-minded dedication to hurting himself in every film. And
definitely right.
What's he going to... Kind of like Jackie Chan, what's he going to hurt next? Who knows?
He is the new Jackie Chan, I feel, Tom Cruise. I've always referred to him as the white Jackie Chan. I don't get a lot of play with that, but people say, what are you talking about? Yeah. But he is.
I think also the fact that I don't think I've ever heard a single person have a bad story about working with him.
No.
So if he is God knows what it's like to be married to him, don't get me wrong. I haven't been inside the Scientology sub basement.
No.
But apparently, to all intents and purposes in public, he just seems, Like, he doesn't even crack the shits at people in interviews.
He doesn't, yeah.
He just seems to be unfailingly nice to everyone. So I guess if you do that, it's hard for people to really hate you.
He does hate psychiatrists, though, so I'm sure.
Well,
if
that's
you-
part
if you
of the
said
whole
you're
deal, though,
I think
isn't
if
it?
you're a psychiatrist, he'd probably give it to you hard. But how much time do you think he spends at the Scientology headquarters in Ascot Vale in Melbourne? Because we're mere minutes from there now.
Yes, I used to walk past there a lot, and I never saw him, although I did look in their windows quite often, which was easy to do because they keep them fully open with the lights on 24 hours a day.
Yep.
Just to quash those rumours of exactly the sort of stuff we're just insinuating happens there.
What's Katie Holmes up to these days? Did she shoot herself in the foot by getting married to Tom Cruise? Did it ruin her career? Because once you try and get out of Scientology, she's never worked again. I think there's a distinct link there. There's a positive correlation, I think, between
Possibly.
separating from Scientology and not having any work as a paid actress ever
We'll
again.
have to wait for that Dawson's Creek reboot.
Oh,
It's
that's
100% going to happen. So.
If there's a Dawson's Creek reboot and she's missing from it, then you know that the Scientologists have got to the producers of that show.
She was in the first of the new Batman films,
Oh,
but then she didn't come back.
No.
So maybe the Scientologists found out about that.
yeah, definitely. Oh, well, look, anyway, as long as she's still alive, that's the main thing. Speaking of people not being alive, News Corp shelved the OJ If I Did It book.
Oh,
If you
that's
remember
right.
that back
Yes.
in the time.
Yep.
People probably are like, what's that about? But if you don't know, OJ Simpson was going to release that book where he talked about, I didn't kill my wife, but if I did, here's how I would have done it. That seems
Apparently,
like
he needed some spare cash. And
yeah. So News Corp decided not to publish that. That's a little bit of a sort of editorial turn that I don't usually expect from those guys.
No,
Like,
I
Rupert
think-
just usually publishes anything.
Yes, that was only because of public pressure, I
Yep.
think. Nowadays people would be going on about how OJ had been unfairly cancelled and, it was
Yeah.
the bloody left-wing woke jihad had, got on top of him and stopped our OJ from putting his thoughts forward. But
Absolutely, yeah.
back in those days, people just thought, oh, this is astonishingly tasteless as fuck. And even News Corp went, yeah, no, you're right. This is pretty dodgy, even by our standards. I think
Of which we have none.
the
so-
cover design was released as well. I think this was part of it as well.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
just a great big picture of his head, and it said, OJ Simpson, I did it. And then if you looked really carefully up in the left, there was a tiny little red if
Yep.
hiding in the corner. So
Is it like Chemist Warehouse where it has cheapest prices and then there's
Yes.
like really small possibly in front of that? So
And I think it wasn't just
trick.
public outcry, it was also relatives of the people that got murdered that
Yeah.
were also like, do you want to maybe dial it back a bit on this?
it seems like at the time and even now it seems like a wild idea to publish such a book. But look, that was simpler times 2006. So, Tom, any news stories that stood out for you? I've just chosen the stupidest shit I can think of.
Similarly well-liked people. Saddam Hussein was sentenced to death and hung by a jeering crowd,
Yep.
achieving the dubious 21st century distinction of first dictator to get sloppily executed on camera phone.
Ah, yeah.
Previously, that was more of a word of mouth type of deal. What else? Australia on fire. Yawn. Conservative government attacks international climate report. Zzz. In good news, a $415 million 8-year US study found that a low-fat diet does not decrease the risk of heart disease, cancer, or stroke.
Oh.
Many in the medical community called the results stunning, and then went back to deciding whether coffee was good for you or not, something they've changed their minds about at least 630 times in my lifetime alone.
Where are they on that at the moment, Tom? Is
Have
it
you got
good
a
or bad?
coin I could borrow?
Yeah.
Well, flip that and then have a
out.
cup of coffee. In music, the 1 billionth song was downloaded on iTunes.
Sweet.
Unfortunately, the song was Speed of Sound by Coldplay. I'm assuming it gets
fuck.
really good after the 999,999th listen. The final episode of Top of the Pops was broadcast after 42 years of light-hearted Jimmy Savile hosted fun.
yeah.
And Madonna began her worldwide Confessions tour, which went on to gross a total of $260 million US, which is the single highest grossing tour in history by a female artist, which was not bad for someone who people had been declaring past it for at least a decade
Yep.
by that point. And lastly, James Brown is dead.
Did they re-release that single? after James
I was
Brown
waiting
died.
for it. I'm pretty sure it got played on Rage, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Not sure whether it got played at his funeral, but yeah,
Oh, you would have hoped so. Just like that Tism song was played at River Phoenix's funeral, I assume.
that's
so.
right. And I think what's his name was there beatboxing too. The guy from
Joel Turner,
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Biggest films of the year: Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest.
Oh God, was that the second one?
I don't think I've
hell.
seen that one. I tapped out after halfway through the first one, I think, on a plane. Cars, for those kids that like that.
Bad Pixar film.
X-Men, The Last Stand, and The Da Vinci Code. So, all good at cinema there. You saw The Da Vinci Code, Tom?
No. I
No.
managed to never see it or read the book.
Yeah,
but,
that's good work, yeah.
I think
can't
I had
recall-
it spoilt for me by too many people describing accurately what happens in it.
Yeah, definitely. No, I saw a reworking of it, the Da Vinci Load, which is a sort of a very tasteful sort of reimagining of that film. So,
Who was
look,
playing the Tom Hanks role in the Da Vinci? Rocco Siffredi.
somebody unknown, but with a massive penis, I believe.
It's
So,
a joke about that. What is it? Magnificent Feminine or something? It was in the quiz. Josh made it. I can't remember. Anyway.
anyway, so there's some extra news.
Yes, there you go.
Tidbits. There you go, a little bit more than usual, just to sort of so people can paint a mental picture of what 1996 was like. So yeah, look, moving on to the music.
Yes. People were, right now, they were thinking, should I listen to my 1 billion and first listen of Speed of Sound by Coldplay, or should I listen to the first song of the year?
Yeah, first song of the year. It's Lee Harding, Wasabi / Eye of the Tiger for 3 more weeks. We talked about Lee last week.
Give me some reggae, I believe Axel would say.
Look, the thing is that I felt that last week we talked about Lee, and I wanted to, not just paint a picture of. I think he's just known as that idol guy, and I sort of felt a bit bad about that. And there's a little bit more to him than that. So I thought, look, I don't want to shit on someone, so I'm going to go and do a little bit more research, Tom.
Sure.
We're not going to talk about this very long, but I feel like I sort of really needed to just go, I've taken the stance that if they've been on Idol, they're terrible. But I think what I want to demonstrate is that they're terrible, regardless of them being on Idol. It's not the Idol thing that made them bad. It's just that they were, not great. So, but what about Lee? Maybe his material is a lot better. Maybe he is a good performer. Maybe, I've just given him a little bit of a tough time before actually doing the research. So I found this quote, Tom, where Lee has said, "People just feel the need to scream it at me everywhere. I've heard it almost every day." And by that, he's talking about his song Wasabi. So he says, "Whenever I walk down the street, people are always screaming Wasabi at me. It happens almost every day, etc., etc." Now, I doubt the authenticity of this story, Tom. And the reason is that I saw a picture of Lee Harding recently, and he looks almost nothing like he did in the Wasabi days. He's grown his hair out long.
Yeah.
He doesn't have like weird tips in it. He's not wearing eyeshadow, those sorts of things. So the only way that someone is actually saying to Lee Harding, "Oh, Wasabi. It's Lee Harding, Wasabi," is if he's wearing a t-shirt that says, "I am Lee Harding, the singer of Wasabi." If he's wearing that shirt, then I certainly suggest that perhaps people are coming up to him and saying, "Are you the guy that sang Wasabi?" But apart from that, I couldn't pick him out from a police lineup. And nothing about that story is true whatsoever. So he's a liar.
I believe that people yelled Wasabi derogatorily at him in the weeks following his Idol thing. But yeah.
Absolutely. But in the preceding 16 years, no. There's no way that he's walking down the street in 2022 and someone's going, "Wasabi," it's like, it's not happening. And Lee has also said, quote, "When I was young, I did then what I wanted to do. I've been to Russia to sing. I've entertained the troops in Iraq." Now, that raises a few questions. One, when he went to Russia, was he performing to Putin, and was it his performance that led to the invasion of the Ukraine?
I was thinking a similar thing. And how about the fact that Iraq remained in turmoil for another 15 years after Saddam Hussein got his head yanked off?
Yeah, exactly.
Explain that without using Lee Harding's performance there.
I think so. I think that Lee Harding performing does ultimately lead to war, and I don't think that I can condone that.
No.
So I'm not going to talk about it anymore, Tom. Moving on. Thanks, Lee. Okay, so first new song of the year, Chris Brown featuring Jules Santana. Is it Jules?
Jules Santana. I think.
Santana, Run It, with an exclamation mark. Getting me pumped up. So this is the first appearance on the podcast from wife beater Chris Brown. Now, punching Rihanna in the face didn't seem to derail his career as much as one would have expected.
No.
And he's still working in the industry today. He also compared his relationship to Rihanna to that of Romeo and Juliet. Now, I'm not sure if he's read Romeo and Juliet or, at least seen the Baz Luhrmann film Romeo and Juliet. But I wouldn't say their relationship is anything like Romeo and Juliet. For one, they're both still alive. So, I don't know.
Despite his best efforts.
Yeah, so, I don't know. Chris, it does seem strange to me that a lot of people have been cancelled over the years for sort of things that, let's face it.
Much less than
a lot less than this.
Yeah.
Yet he's sort of admitted that, and people have seen the photos. People know what he's done.
He was in the pre-Me Too era.
Well, that's the thing, I guess, yeah.
But then unlike someone like Mike Tyson or something, he didn't actually serve time or suffer any consequences for his actions. So.
Yeah. But look, I think the thing that we need to remember is as well that this did take place some time ago, sort of 15 years ago at this stage. People do live, they do learn, they do change. He has admitted that, he's done the wrong thing, and I think that he's sort of grown as an individual. So since this sort of time, he has lived, he has learned. He's been really good. I think he's overcome his problems. He's turned a new page. He's really controlled his anger, worked on his anger management. And look, he's slipped a few times, but that's bound to happen. Like when he was asked about the incident on TV in 2011 and then off-air punched a window, took off his shirt, confronted the producer of the show and left the building shirtless. Or when he was involved in a scuffle with Drake at a nightclub in 2012 where a professional basketball player had to have glass surgically removed from his eye. Or in 2013 where he was involved in an altercation with Frank Ocean after a parking space and threatened to shoot him. Or that time he was involved allegedly in a hit and run in LA. Or when he was arrested for felony assault in Washington refusing to take a photo with someone. Or in 2014 when he was sent to prison for violating the rules while he was in rehab. 2016 when a woman called the police as Chris had threatened her with a gun. Or when the cops tried to search his house as part of his parole condition. And that he can't have guns, but he wouldn't let them in there. So there was a standoff with the SWAT team. Or in 2017 when Chris punched a man who took his photo without his permission. Or in early 2022, a woman sued Chris accusing him of raping her on a yacht. But he does deny these allegations. So look, we've all been there.
We have.
These are all minor incidents.
Probably blown up by the press.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just glad that he's turned over a new leaf after the whole Rihanna thing. So good for him.
Yes, much like Floyd Mayweather, we have to take into account that, world-class talents often exist in a state of sort of, an almost innocent, childlike wonder, and they can't always be expected to remember trivial social mores. And that's when we, sort of us talentless mortals, need to, sometimes gently step in and say, hey there, Tiger, remember, it's bad manners to beat up that woman you're raping.
Yeah, exactly.
They can't be expected to keep those things top of mind.
For sure. And I think that's right. I think as a society, we're the ones that need to... So it's our fault, in a sense, for not reminding him of these
it was us who failed. Us and society really failed Chris there for,
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to find out more about when he threatened Frank Ocean over a parking space with a gun. I feel like that's
that was one of the few ones that I remembered because it's so odd. The rest of them I somehow managed to miss. I thought I would have remembered him being in a standoff with a SWAT team. But
look, I think that's the thing. Those things don't make the news because with Chris it happens so frequently.
That's
it's just
right.
like stand up for the SWAT team, don't worry. Look, unfortunately, due to his criminal record, he can't enter Australia or New Zealand.
That is a shame. That is a real shame.
I'm either going to have to wait for him to tour Southeast Asia and fly over there to see Chris in person, or there's a market for an Antipodean Chris Brown impersonator. So, I'd do it, but we know the, public's view on blackface. So maybe an out-of-work Michael Jackson impersonator could take on the role of a Chris Brown impersonator because I believe that Chris Brown has, like about 18,000 other people, been called the new Michael Jackson.
It's true. I reckon you and Chris Lilly could make it work. I think what with the current geopolitical chaos, I think if there's one thing the world needs right now, it's a Chris Brown x Chris Lilly collab.
Yeah.
Collab, I reckon, with you writing the jokes, I don't see how that could go wrong. Something to bring people together, really.
Yeah, definitely. I think until they get that hologram stuff happening, get a Chris Brown hologram down here, that's the best next option, I think, myself or Chris Lilly or both of us, just sort of taking it one night on, one night off sort of thing, doing a bit of a Chris Brown performance. Unfortunately, I don't know if I can dance as well as Chris, but look, a few lessons, I think it should be good to go. So, look, last episode we talked about Akon, all of his business ventures.
Yes.
He's got a lot happening, as we know, building
Diamond mines.
building an entire
Imaginary
city.
cities that don't exist.
Acoin, that cryptocurrency that's
invented a flying car.
exactly. So, but Chris is also a businessman, so I should point that out as well. He purportedly owns 14 Burger Kings.
Okay.
And has his own breakfast cereal, Breezy's Cosmic Crunch. So
It's got snap, crackle, and pop your girlfriend in the face because she's mouthing off.
yeah, look, it's not quite building your own city, but it's pretty cool.
No.
14 Burger Kings is sick, I think. So good on Chris. So the song, do we need to talk about the song itself?
Yeah, you might as well mention it.
Yeah, so the song uses part of the Waitresses' 1980 single "I Know What Boys Like," which is a significantly better song than this.
Yeah, man. That is a new wave classic.
It is,
I forgot how good that was. I went back and re-listened to it. It's got multiple sax breaks
Yeah,
for one
it
thing.
does,
It's a real new wave / punk thing. As far as I know, also the Waitresses remain free of rape allegations.
Yeah, they do. So
well, but,
I think if you had to choose between listening to this song and the original, you'd be a fool to choose this.
It's been covered a lot and used in various other things too. This isn't a straight cover.
No.
But it borrows, yeah.
But it's sort of in the chorus, I think it sort of borrows the phrasing and etc. Yeah, exactly. So I don't think it samples it, but yeah, certainly, uses that as a basis.
It's not one of those hip hop songs which is basically a cover, but they've reworded it.
Where he does a rap in the bridge. Yeah, exactly. So that's a lot better song than this, and the actual song of this, despite the Waitresses connection, it just sounds like someone listened to Usher Yeah and said, oh, let's just make something that sounds exactly like that.
Exactly, but minus like the crunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Outside of a dance floor, this is weak as piss, really. Santana is playing the tough rap part, but his rhymes aren't great, and he looks like he works in laptop repair during the week, frankly. Chris Brown plays the JT role, doing the sexy verses, except he sounds about as sexy as you expect from a man wearing 2 large diamond earrings and a 4XL wife beater. Also, there's a kind of R&B bridge which sucks, obviously, but even more so given that Chris Brown is no Boys to Men, at least at this stage, so he needs to be auto-tuned to shit just to hit the notes even. That might have also have something to do with him being 16 on this track. Like, he's still got acne in the video, literally. Maybe he couldn't concentrate on the vocals because he was too worried about not randomly barring up in the studio.
That's true, yeah.
I mean, 16 is young to be doing this level of posturing, I reckon.
Absolutely right.
I mean, Criss Cross pulled it off, but there aren't many Criss Crosses around.
No, that's true. I think that's why, you forget about Criss Cross being so young and so talented at such a young age, Tom. So that's right. Warm It Up. Miss the Bus, all those songs, fantastic.
They managed to avoid beating people up too, as far as I know. But he is very young. I forgot how young he was, basically, is what I'm saying. But, yeah.
Does Chris Brown have a face tattoo these days? I feel like he probably does. If he doesn't, he'd have some certain high neckline sort of bordering on the face action.
A whole variety of heavy metal going on across the teeth region.
Yeah.
Last time I saw him, I think he had his hair dyed pink on one side and dyed blue on the other side.
Good.
So, yeah.
That's good. So nice. So he was only 16 then. So he's only like 30 now, but he's been around for
he's like, I think he's 32 or so, yeah.
That makes sense, yeah. This must have some lyrical highlights.
You'll see, girl, I can set you off. Don't believe my age is going to slow us down. I can definitely show you things to have you saying I can't be 16. Once I get in, you won't let go. I'll have the girls wishing they were you. I know you heard about me, but guess what's going down if we leave? All right. How about you get kicked out of the nightclub for being underage?
Yeah.
Your mum drives us home. You take me upstairs to your bedroom, show me your favourite Buffy posters, and then try to beat me up when I laugh at them? Something like that? Maybe that'd be my guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think there would certainly be... was the OC on at this time? I think it'd be sort of... probably
Yes,
some,
it was,
yep.
because there's a song later on this year, in fact.
Of course. That's right. So, yeah, they're probably back to my house for some OC.
Yeah,
yep. Absolutely right. That and maybe some Breezy's Cosmic Crunch for dinner, because,
Sure.
Chris Brown does
Stop
seem
at
like...
one of his Burger King.
Yeah, definitely. Let's get some Burger King. I own this one. You can upsize the fries for free. That one's on me, girl. So, yeah, that's that. Look, 2 cents, this will set you back.
Worth every penny.
And 35 million people listen to Chris Brown on Spotify.
That is a depressing amount, and a depressing number of them are women as well. But
yeah,
not even going to touch that.
I don't know. I find his career. I'm not going to say ascension because I don't think he's gone up, but I'd certainly say the fact that he still has a career strange. I do find that strange.
Weird.
So.
I don't think he troubled the top 10. Not in Australia much more than this, but I could be wrong about that.
Look, separating the art from the artist, is this music so good that you're just like, look, I know that he's a wife beater, but this is so
it's
good
not, like you say,
that I can't not listen to it.
It sounds like a B-level JT featuring Usher knockoff, except neither of them are as good.
Definitely no. At this stage, I would certainly refer to Chris Brown as an off-brand Usher. So
I would say,
come at me, Chris.
I'll take Chris Cross over Chris Brown.
Oh, no doubt. I've got that T-shirt that says Chris Cross greater than Chris Brown, so I'm wearing it right now. So look, up next, Tom, for 1 week, Eminem, When I'm Gone.
This was I'd forgotten this one. I had to. In fact, I don't even know if I'd heard this. I had to go back and...
well, this is one of his emotional songs where he raps about not getting to spend enough time with his kid or some shit. So,
Ben, you're a dad.
Yeah.
What is it? Genuinely, what is it with bogans and getting their kids tattooed on themselves?
I don't know. That's a very good question.
Have you ever felt the need to get 2 life-size portraits of your children on your arm?
Look, I think if I was in a car accident, Tom, and had suffered had like an acquired brain injury where I might not be able to remember day-to-day things like the names of my children, what they look like, my wife's name, where I live, etc. Sort of like a Guy Pearce in Memento type situation, but sort of with sort of extreme brain damage. Maybe I'd probably get the names of my kids tattooed on there so I could look down and go, and then I could say, and I've got 2 kids, so I'd have a 50-50 chance of getting it right. So
you think this is sort of bogan planning for the future, that they're, even if they haven't reached that stage yet, they're looking ahead thinking, in somewhere between now and 10 years' time, I am going to smash my head on the curb falling out of a taxi after having 13 Woodstock cans
exactly
on my way back from the footy. It's still daytime after the races or whatever, and I'm going to need these tattoos, and by then I won't necessarily be able to describe to the guy very well because I'll be down to single syllables at that point.
I won't be able to tell the tattooist the names of my children, so I'm going to need to get it done now. So
that does make sense. I see.
Look, I think it's
well, Eminem's gone that path, by the way. Not only does he do it, but he brags about doing it. It always struck me as protesting a bit too much. It seemed to me the people most likely to forget their own children's names are the ones most likely to get them tattooed on a Gothic script 8 inches high.
I don't know what's worse. Is it the kids' names in the Gothic script on the arm? Is it the established 1992 tattoos, where people get the year of their birth tattooed on them? Is it like a Moby-style animal rights face tattoo, or is it the Travis Barker style under the eye blessed tattoo? I don't know which one's worse. I think the face tattoo that says blessed is so bland. I think
it's like having an Instagram tag on your face forever.
If you want to get a face tattoo,
the kids' faces one is pretty bad because at least with the names, it's just names, but with the faces, unless the tattoo artist is world class, it really never really looks much like the person.
No.
Especially not after you've put on 20 pounds from all those Woodstock cans and everything's gone a bit saggy around there.
Yeah. Look, I think if you're getting the face tattoo and it really, really, really means something to you, like I might not necessarily agree with that, but if it really means something to you, at least I can go, okay, that means something to you. But just blessed, it's like... the fucking stupidest shit I can imagine. So I don't know, but he's going out with one of the Kardashians, so he obviously knows what he's doing. But yeah, I don't know. Probably not going to get those kids' names tattooed on the arms just yet. But wait and see what happens if I'm in an accident with a diminished brain capacity. We'll see.
Well, yes, the music video. What happens?
Well,
here?
the music video. He's like rapping in an AA meeting or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's an AA. It's certainly it's like a help group sort of scenario.
Yeah.
They don't specify whether it's AA or sort of, like some sort of, violent sort of situation,
Some
anger
support
management.
group, yeah.
You don't know what it is, but it's a support group of some kind. Now, he gets up and starts rapping. Do you think that's ever happened in real life? Someone's just stepped up to the mic at an AA meeting and spat a few bars? I can't imagine it has. And if it has, it's just like, I'm on the Woodstock 12. Yeah, I've got to get back my health. The wiggy wig. And people are like going, fucking hell, just get down. Because at the end of this, people they're all clapping like, well, yeah. I'm just like going, I don't know.
I think it's more likely to happen at Narcotics Anonymous, maybe, because judging from several Trump rally videos I've seen, half the meth heads in America think that they're the Notorious B.I.G. instead of notoriously D-E-L-U-D-E-D.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know why, but something about, a bunch of COVID-denying white people makes them just want to throw down and start dropping rhymes. It's really weird. I would not have picked that crossover. Like, I don't naturally associate, unless there's a huge underground meth rap scene that I haven't come across. I knew cough syrup was a thing. I didn't think. I mean, it does speed you up, I guess. You've got
true.
A lot of energy to work on rhymes.
But it's sort of like if you watch on YouTube something like All Gas No Brakes or Channel 5, the new one, it doesn't matter where the dude goes to, whether it's at the beach, NASCAR, football game, an actual music concert, every single time he comes across at least one or two people that will just start spitting bars at him.
And these people are very rarely black.
And it's always terrible. So it just seems it doesn't matter where you show up in America, there's just someone that thinks of the next Eminem.
What I'm saying is maybe at Narcotics Anonymous they're quite familiar with people. Maybe they have to. You're only allowed to have 3.5 minutes on stage because otherwise people try and do a whole mixtape up in front of them.
If you're not rapping, people are like going, "What's up with this? This guy's just talking. This is insane." You got to speed it up. You got to get those rhymes out there. So, look, this is, I think, one of the reasons I was the same as you, Tom. I was like, what the fuck is this? And I listened to it and went, this is vaguely familiar. Maybe I can remember this. But it's one of those greatest hits album new songs that they do. Remember that shit? I don't know whether they still do it these days, but back in the day, they'd say, let's release a greatest hits album that pulls from like 3 albums. So the diehard Eminem fans already own those 3 albums. So it's like, how can we get them to buy this greatest hit song? Let's put 1 or 2 new songs on there so that those fuckers have to buy it. So, look, it's a record label scam. When people talk about record labels suffering in 2022, there's generally indifference from people of a certain age because they're just like going, look, for sure, I'm sort of like, look, I want the artists to get money. I absolutely want the bands that I like to get some money. But record labels, most of them couldn't give a fuck, especially the major labels where it's like, let's just try and get people to pay $35 for one Eminem song because they know the other ones.
As the Smiths put it, double pack with a photograph, extra track, and a tacky badge.
Yes.
Paint a picture that whole song just about, okay, he's dead, how can we make as much money as possible quickly about an artist.
Yeah.
Anyway, the greatest hits here was called Curtain Call.
Oh, yeah.
And after this, he followed our expert advice spin from previous ones and took a much-needed 4-year break.
Thank fuck.
Yeah, no, he said, I was saying with his last hit from last year that he just looked really tired and just not that into it.
Yeah.
Which in the video, so imagine what he was like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I was going to say, as a rapper yourself and father of a small child, as Eminem was at this time, how do you reckon that he spent that time? How would you spend your 4-year career hiatus?
Look, I hope that he didn't get to work with D12. I hope that he just took a legit time away from music. But I don't know, I'm just trying to think. this song, he's rapping specifically about not spending enough time with his child.
Yes.
So I think that a part of me hopes that he just spent some time with his children.
Yeah,
but
yes.
he probably went and opened a spaghetti restaurant or some clothing line or whatever
sort
the
of
fuck,
Wahlburgers
fragrance.
type,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Like, I don't know, but that's the thing though, Tom. You can't turn creativity off. So perhaps while Eminem wasn't there spitting bars at AA meetings, he just had to channel that creativity in something else. Maybe he wasn't home thinking, yeah, I'll spend some more time with my daughter. After about 3 days, just went, I'm bored now. Let's go and try and get a fashion label up and running.
He is one of those guys. I mean, he wasn't quite Chris Brown age, but he was very young when he did, what was it, Slim Shady.
Yeah.
No, what was his first song? I'm
The
Real-
Marshall Mathers one?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
one? I
Like
can't
he was.
remember.
I think he can't have been much out of his teens. So this would probably be the first time he'd been,
Yep.
sort of. I don't know whether the record company gave him permission or he just went, fuck it, I'm taking a break whether you want me to or not. And because I'm sure they would have been happy for him to keep cranking out albums because, as this demonstrates, he's still writing number ones even when they seem a bit half-assed and he doesn't even seem committed to it. He really can't do anything wrong at this point. Like
Correct.
you say, lyrically, the song is like a dodgy parental ballad version of Lose Yourself. It even sounds a little bit similar, except instead of visualising his future success as a rapper, he's sort of trying to talk himself into being less of a shit husband and father, as you said. Given that he broke up with Kim for the second time this year, maybe he should have used a more exciting song to try and convince himself of that. What have we got here? 60,000 people all jumping out their seat. The curtain closes. They're throwing roses at my feet. I take a bow and thank you all for coming out. They're screaming so loud. I take one last look at the crowd. I glance down. I don't believe what I'm seeing. Daddy, it's me. Help Mummy. Her wrists are bleeding. But baby, we're in Sweden. How did you get to Sweden? 2006 was a long time ago, so people have probably already forgotten about the time Eminem played the Stockholm Opera House and then was discovered hallucinating behind the curtains on stage by his suicidal wife and their teleporting daughter. I think it was covered up by Bill Gates at the time, but yeah. The problem is it's really hard to isolate lyrics from that song because it's like Lose Yourself, it is a big kind of long narrative right from the start.
Yeah.
Which is actually quite, I mean, he did write quite complicated songs. Like he's describing being on stage on tour and he keeps and he segs into scenes of his, things of his daughter doing stuff at home, but then it's like his imaginings of what's happening and him feeling guilty and imposing guilt on himself. But then he keeps switching back to him being on stage and being on tour and that sort of thing. So it's sort of like a kind of prolonged guilt trip about how bad he feels that he's not at home with his family.
Yep.
But then he also sort of doesn't give himself any choice, it's kind of like Lose Yourself. He keeps saying, but this is the only thing I know how to do. I have to keep doing this thing. But so I'm glad he at least took the part of his advice about not staying on tour forever.
He took some time off, just to reassess.
Like you say, even if
reevaluate.
he'd been divorced multiple times, I hope at least he hung out with his daughter a bit.
You'd hope so, yeah. If you took 4 years off and you didn't do that, given that he's just the song that he wrote immediately before going on hiatus was talking about that, then something's gone awry. But anyway, look, this will cost you 60 cents on Discogs, cheaper than buying the Greatest Hits CD, so let's go and do that. And 54 million people. He's got a lot.
He's
Eminem.
one of our
Talked about
highest
that.
ones.
So in previous weeks, a lot of people get on the Spotify. Probably not for this song though. They'd be listening to other stuff. wouldn't they? They'd be listening
The
to-
fact that it's 60 cents seems to indicate that it's not one
Yep.
of his more beloved songs.
Yeah, exactly. So look, up next, Tom, is Bob Sinclair featuring Gary Pine, Love Generation.
Can I just say, I know this is an irritating thing to say, but I thought it was Bob Sinclair as well, but I think it's Bob Sinclair.
Bob Sinclair. Sorry.
Yeah,
That's
I assumed it was Sinclair as well, but yeah.
Bob
Either way,
Sinclair. That's cool. No
let's
problem.
call him Bob Sinclair.
No,
Everyone's forgotten him already. I had to remind myself of this one.
Yeah, look, Tom, you're a French DJ. Your name's Christopher Lafriant. Christophe Lafriant. And you need a DJ name. You can choose anything. Well, you can't choose DJ Cyberstorm. It's taken, obviously. As is Moby. You can't take that.
Damn it.
But you can choose almost anything else Why do you go with Bob Sinclair? That's
Well, I think to a French DJ, Ben, Bob
Yep.
Sinclair sounds strange and exotic.
Okay.
This is the phenomenon that Carl Barron identified, where a Melbourne hipster leaves a cafe and says, ciao, while on the other side of the world there's a Sicilian model leaving a restaurant going, see ya.
very true.
To that
Exactly.
French guy, he thinks that Gary Amstrad sounds really weird and exotic.
So he's run with that. Yeah, look, it's not the best DJ name I would have thought.
No,
but
it's a shit DJ
it's in fact, it's total dog shit.
And
but
featuring Gary Pine, which sounds like some sort of air freshener. I mean, it's
yeah.
an obvious thing to say, but
Look,
sorry,
Tom.
Gary Nestor Pine. Apparently, that was his. That was his. I don't know if that's meant to go together or whether people just called him Nestor, but yeah.
Oh, who knows? We'll find out, I guess, in due course. Once I've done no research about Gary Pine. Sorry,
No,
Gary.
okay.
Look, the creativity that Bob Sinclair put into his stage name is equivalent to the creativity he's put into this song, I'd say, Tom. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah.
It's pretty shit. But I'm not looking at this through objective eyes. As you know, my least favourite genre of music is white guy ragamuffin or that sort of reggae fusion bullshit.
Yeah, I'm not a
look,
huge
he
fan.
brings Gary Pine along for the ride, who I haven't done a lot of research, but he is from Jamaica. Gary
Yep.
Pine is actually from Jamaica and was the front man of the Wailers band for a period of time to add some legitimacy, but this is still bullshit. I should also say that when Gary Pine fronted the Wailer band, which is, a Bob Marley cash-in band, let's face
yep.
it, Bob Marley and the Wailers, but it was from 1998 to 2006, so well after Bob
Yes.
Marley's sort of reign in there. So even the legitimacy, that Gary Pine brings is trash legitimacy. It's sort of like getting Shifty from Crazy Town on a pop song to give it some hip hop credibility. So total garbage.
Yeah, I looked him up briefly, but like you said, there really wasn't much interesting to report. Most of his, post Wailers band career seemed to be this exact thing, e.g. doing sort of reggae-infused vocals on a variety of dance songs, because this style had a sort of, a brief kind of time in the sun. This
Yep.
sort of weird half dance music, half sort of cruisy,
Yep.
chill stuff. Yeah, sort of music sounds better with you, air, sort of some Daft Punk sort of things. I'm not doing it justice, but
I know what you mean.
This style of it's not quite fast enough to dance to. You can do a sped up remix if you want, but it's not reggae either.
It's electronic music, but it's not what you would consider to be, as you said, anything that you can dance. It's dinner party in the back, or at a cafe or something. You just
day
hear something.
after music.
Yeah. Bullshit is what it is.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not offensively bad,
No,
but
no.
yeah, it's not great by any means.
This hit number one off the back of being featured in the 2006 FIFA World Cup.
Okay.
So it's effectively Chumbawamba tum thumping for 2006, I'd say, Tom. So the World Cup version did feature the World Cup mascot, adding another layer of credibility to the track. It wasn't the official World Cup song, though. That was The Time of Our Lives, recorded by multinational operatic pop quartet Il Divo and American singer Tony Braxton. So
Not
bit of
the-
trivia for you.
Not the time of our lives from the last episode of Seinfeld. the Green
If I
Day.
can hope not. No. I hope it was an original song and not that. So, yeah, for sure. So,
Yeah, look, if you can't remember this song, it's basically just all chorus of someone going, "Feel the love generation,"
yeah.
which even by the exceedingly fucking generous standards of pop music would make it somewhere between 15 and 50 years too late. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But if that's what you're trying to remember, because you're not going to remember Gary brackets Nestor Pine, are you?
Yeah, I just assumed that this was a cover from about 1970. So when I was
Yeah,
when
that's
I
what
found
it
out
sounds
that it
like.
wasn't, I was like, oh, this is 35.
I
years
did
too late.
exactly the same thing. I thought, this must be the chorus from some 60s song, and then they've added some beats to it. But yeah.
No, it's apparently an original composition, but I think it's somewhat worse than that. So I tried to find the video of Bob Sinclair performing with the World Cup mascot on YouTube. I thought that, that video
Mm-hmm. What
footage
is
should
the
be
World Cup mascot?
some line or something from Germany
okay.
2000,
Gotcha.
like a German, I can't even remember who it was, but yeah, something. And while I couldn't find that, I could find him performing it live in 2017 It was just him up there with 5 chicks in identical outfits, all of them with sizable cans, fully out, with just a blue star sticker over their nipples. So
You've really buried the lead here, Ben. With
yeah, so it's a classy performance that Bob Sinclair puts on these
Sure,
days.
I
That's
guess they were
definitely-
feeling the love generation.
They certainly were. Yeah.
Lyrically, this is credited to Bob, Gary Pine, and 4 other people somehow. But I'm guessing Jamaican Gary wrote the lyrics. It's all love, you know, it's all love. From I and I to everyone, got to love, well, we got to love, yeah. There's no need to cry, eh? Got to love, well, we got to love, yeah. Got to live that love, you know what I'm talking about. Don't get hooked up on what you see, because the greatest thing is spirituality. Share that love, come on, gotta share that love, come on. Gotta share that hope, come on, gotta share the dreams, eh? So remember, next time you're facing crippling mortgage debt because 25 years of conservative economic policy means there hasn't been a real wage increase since you joined the workforce, just remember not to get hooked up on what you see, because the greatest thing is spirituality.
It is true.
Not any particular religion, just the concept of some sort of large, farty cloud of vaguely benign gas surrounding you and Gary Pine's mum at all times. You know, just keep that in mind and you should be all right. I like to think of it as the Glen 20 of the soul, Ben.
Yeah,
Just
those
a big
lyrics.
stinky Gary Pine scented cloud just around me at all
Absolutely,
times.
spirituality. Yep, indeed. It's gotten me through some dark days, Tom. This song, not spirituality, but yeah, look, it's great. Those are some of the worst lyrics around.
Yeah,
Not
it's
worst,
not
just
great.
extremely generic.
The best thing you
lyrics.
can say about them is they are relentlessly positive. Like,
Yeah.
at least they're just really unimaginative and boring. As
They're the
well.
sort of lyrics that if they were featured on a song today, you just assume that some AI program had spat them out. Like,
Yes.
it seems like the most generic sort of,
Yes.
oh, we need a song about love, and it just goes, oh, come on, love, love, come on,
that's right.
spirituality. It's just like going,
Yep,
thank
and
you.
all the tenses are wrong and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So it's good to see someone's been spending their whole life on neural networks to come up with that stuff. So probably Miles Dyson from Terminator 2.
Speaking
He's
of
dead.
annoying
He's dead.
computers, let's go to something a bit more melodic and organic next.
Oh, sorry, I just should point out 74 cents for that. 6
Okay.
million. There must be
6 million.
people in France or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. So, yeah, definitely. So, yeah, moving on next. TV Rock featuring Shawnee B.
Wow.
Flaunt it.
Gotten this one too.
For 5 weeks. Fucking hell, 5 weeks. So look, I had no idea who TV Rock or Shawnee B are. I didn't know. I couldn't remember this at all. This is sort of a generic mid-2000s dance track with some seriously whack lyrics that are so bad they almost swing back around and become awesome. And I say almost as I don't think Shawnee B is self-aware enough to realise how fucking terrible these lyrics are.
No. If this was like Basement Jacks or something, you might think, is this on purpose? Is this like kind of an in-joke that they're doing this on purpose? But yeah, with Shawnee B, I'm not sure. What I like is that the music video, while otherwise utterly unmemorable, is a rare return to the early 90s fashion for flashing the words to the lyrics on the screen,
yeah.
which, as it does here, often serves more to underline their shitness instead of blowing your mind with the concepts behind it, especially when all the S's have been replaced with Z's as they have here.
No,
as
fucking
well.
hell. This is like... I think that whoever made this must have immediately watched Melissa Read My Lips like the second before. Bro, I've got this idea. I've just watched this fucking thing from 15 years ago where the words flash
Why
up.
doesn't anyone do that anymore? Let's bring it back.
Oh, but these lyrics are fucking awful. We don't really want to, shine a spotlight on them. Don't worry about it. No one will be reading them anyway. So look, 2 artists to go deep on. Firstly, I know you're asking, what's the TV Rock story, Tom? I know you're asking that. Well, according to Wikipedia, TV Rock, quote, was an Australian dance music duo consisting of Grant Smiley and Ivan Goff.
Okay.
That's it. That's the Wikipedia. That's all they had. So I had to go to a different website, Tom, rather than just going to Wikipedia, which is where 100% of the content of this podcast comes from. So look, their song "In the Air" featured on the Wog Boy 2 soundtrack. And they won 2 ARIAs for this, if you can believe it.
Yeah, there's not a lot of...
This was best dance song of the year. So,
there's
the
not a lot
Bar's
of electronic, homegrown Australian electronic music outside of clubs, really. So if you can get on the radio, you're probably
Yeah.
only up against, they're probably up against the Dissociatives and no one else for this award for this
exactly.
year. Maybe the most electronic song off Delta's latest album. So yeah, they probably beat that. And I'll say this for TV Rock.
Yeah.
In my opinion, this isn't terrible by basic sort of club banger standards.
No.
I would and have probably danced to this. If you took away the hilariously shit lyrics, it'd be a sort of serviceable bass-heavy dance floor filler thing.
Yeah.
It's not too fast and pretty simple, but then so is like Robot Rock by Daft Punk, and that'd get 20,000 people up. You know, like this sort of thing, like this sort of Basement Jaxx, later Chemical Brothers era. There was another band, its name fucking escapes me. Yeah, this style of dance music was popular at the time,
Yeah.
so maybe TV Rock just were like, hey, we can fucking do that.
And they did. And they got a number one song for 5
it's kind
weeks.
of like, it's a sort of riffier style of dance music. Like it's built around not actual instruments so much, but like kind of riffy chunks, you know, and yeah.
So, yeah, look, they obviously set out to do something, write a song, record it, press some records up, got some radio play, number one. I'm sure they exceeded expectations.
Why the fuck did they get Shawnee B, though? What's he got to do with anything?
Well, I don't know, Tom. Shawnee B, look, he's featured on a bunch of tracks. He's been a featured artist on a lot of tracks,
all right.
I think, over his career. So maybe they needed someone. They went, let's give that Shawnee B character a call. He knows what he's up to.
Sure.
And look, he's featured on a heap of stuff. I mean, who can forget his work with Eric Dex, Dylan Rhymes, Jono Fernandez, the Stafford Brothers, Vanessa Amorosi, Dons, Rob Pix, Jam Express, Bombs Away, Jamie Vlalos, Hoxton Hawes, Dirt Cheap, Joel Fletcher, Who Killed Mickey, Zoolander, and Sprenda C. All the biggest names in world music. He's worked with all of them, Tom. And of course, he's featured on several tracks on TV Rock's debut album, not just this song. Sunshine City was the name of the album. He did Flaunt It, obviously, Crank, and Hip House's Back, whatever the fuck that means. So
I vaguely remember Flaunt It. I think that... Oh,
That's
no, that
this.
was this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can vaguely remember it too, just based off what we're talking about. But
My question was, is Shawnee B American or Australian? The answer is he's Australian,
He is.
which adds a generous sprinkle of arse powder to the heady stank of his lyrics because he is really given that American accent 120%.
He is, yeah,
in the
definitely.
video.
I think he's from right here in Melbourne, Tom. So hopefully our
Seems
paths
about
cross
right.
at some stage. I'd like to get him on the podcast and just...
I'm assuming that most of those people you just listed were also Melbourne DJs or producers of the time who had one banger and
I assume so. Look, I think so. Apart from Vanessa Amorosi, we know that she had several hits.
because what Shawnee B is bringing to this is not much.
I mean, if the aim was, let's get a vocalist on there that's real shit, who's going to bring some real shit lyrics to sort of give it this sort of ironic kind of vibe, then they've achieved the goal. But if their aim was legitimate quality, then they've failed on all levels.
He's also not singing either.
No,
he's
just
not
talking.
rapping and he's not singing.
He's just
So you
talking.
could essentially have just asked the lead singer of any,
I'm not sure why one of the guys in
band.
TV Rock didn't just do it. 'cause
Exactly.
He's just talking.
Exactly.
So. Yeah, look, TV Rock followed this up with Bimbo Nation, which unfortunately couldn't reach the dizzying heights of the original, proving that Flaunt It really was lightning in a bottle. They did a TV Rock versus Snap, The Power. They did one of those versus things.
Featuring another guy as
Yeah,
well.
but something tells me that Snap were completely unaware that this had taken place.
Yeah.
I feel like they
And
just
the
sampled it
public.
without.
So I listened to it too. It's not even very good. Really.
Yeah,
I mean,
but look, I don't know. All I know is that TV Rock, I think one of the members left. It was 2 guys, so it's just one guy. I don't know whether he's still operating today under the name of TV Rock or whether they've rested the project to bed. And look, I assume Shawnee B is still opening nightclubs in Traralgon, probably, something along
sounds
those
about
lines.
right, I reckon.
So yeah, you're going to hit onto these lyrics?
What have you got any favourites yourself?
I'll make the bass line nice and deep for all you freaks on disco treats.
What
Just
do you
shake
mean
that
by
ass. Just shake that ass.
I mean, lyrics spotlight, see above, really.
Yeah.
I think he threatens to make you cream several times also. I mean, for whatever agenda he's imagining, that would surely be a fairly inconvenient thing to happen on the dance floor.
Oh, exactly
Surely.
right.
I mean, even if JT got you naked by the end of this song, at least you could put your shirt back on afterwards and go to the bar.
Yep.
You know, presuming you didn't get kept out. Like, once you've creamed yourself in public, the night is pretty much over.
It's done, yeah.
I would have thought. I mean, I'm only speaking for men here. You'd have to ask Cardi B if a night out is adversely affected by slopping around with a wet ass pussy,
Yeah.
or even a wet ass pussy. Either one, I don't know. But
Well,
yeah.
we just need to look at the lyrics to WAP, I think, and we can find out her views on that. So, yeah, I don't know. The lyrics are pretty bad.
they're
but
pretty bad. That's basically all of them. I think we
I
listed.
think it is,
He
don't
just
it?
repeats
And
them
it's just-
over and over again.
and he present. I'll make that bass line nice and deep for all you freaks on disco treats. Just shake that ass, flaunt it. It's delivered with that sort of power.
Yes, that's the one thing he brings to it is this weird kind of sexual predator menace that, you know, which just makes it even funnier combined with the terrible lyrics.
Yeah, exactly. If you saw him performing it live, you wouldn't know whether you need to call the police or something. Some sort of crime's about to take place. But yeah, 50 cents for this, but vinyl aficionados will have to pay $6.75, Tom. So if you want this on the 12-inch, and who wouldn't, then you're going to have to part with a bit more money.
If I
100,000.
saw this in a record shop and it had the instrumental version,
Yep.
I'd pay $6 for that on
$6?
vinyl to you know, the music's not too bad, but
Yeah.
if it was only the vocal version, you'd have to pay me $6 to take it home, I think.
Well, I'm the opposite, Tom. I'd pay $6.75 for an a cappella 12-inch, I think, of just Shawnee B just going, oh, those freaks on disco trees, shake that ass. So, 100,000 for TV Rock. So a few people are still listening. They only had one album, so, you know, people
This is
are obviously...
Australia. They're probably still doing New Year's Eve parties
Oh,
in Traralgon.
I hope so, for sure, absolutely. I'll find out. But yeah, obviously, after one of the two members parted ways, I'm not sure whether that had an adverse effect on their output. Well, they haven't released anything since, so
No.
obviously it has. So, up next is Youth Group Forever Young for 2 weeks.
Yes, this was a hit at the time. It was certainly a hit on alternative radio and then over into the mainstream.
Yep.
Yeah.
This can best be described as a completely unnecessary cover of the 1984 Alphaville single. Is that a fair description?
It is, yes. The only thing it really did was bring that cover back into the public consciousness. A bit like that wonky cover of Mad World from
yeah.
5 years earlier, which just made, if it did one good thing, was to make people go, oh, this is a cover. I wonder what the original sounds like. Oh, shitloads better than this. Yeah.
That's true. It did bring, Tears for Fears have always been on my radar, but it's certainly people that may have been unfamiliar with
I
Tears
was
for
not
Fears.
so familiar with them, yeah.
Certainly made people go, let's check out Tears for Fears. And then they probably would have gone and listened to Shout, and then went, that's sick. So, yeah.
That first album's great.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I say completely unnecessary is unfair, isn't it, Tom? Because the track did feature in an episode of the OC, so it was all worth it. And they performed this live on Sunrise, which is what I guess a jangly indie band wants, to perform a show aimed exclusively at 55-year-olds, while Koshi says, oh, that was great. Now, if you want to save up for a house, you should spend less money on toast. Thanks, Koshi, for that
Next
financial
is
advice.
the Miracle Floor Cleaner. We're going to have a half-hour-long infomercial. Look, people who don't know this or don't know the original, you might remember the original also from the prom dance scene in Napoleon Dynamite, possibly, which I would personally rank over the entire run of the OC, except maybe a couple of bits with Rachel Bilson in it, perhaps. Also,
She was hot.
What was her character's name? I remember you had some sort of crush on her.
Yeah, I can't even remember the character name.
I liked the Pacey in that show. What was his name? He pops up. I always want to say Adrian Brody, but it's not.
Yeah, it's Adrian someone. Yeah, I know who you mean. Yeah,
it's something close. It might be Adam Brody or something.
Oh,
maybe?
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. He's no Rachel Bilson, though. Look, anyway,
no.
the song, the original is better, I think. It has an alien, synthy, new wave sort of stiltedness, which contrasts the subject better than this sort of balls obvious, twangy OC remix, I reckon, which just sounds like every other, guitar band on Triple J at the time.
Oh, completely. No, I completely agree. So, she played Summer on the OC.
Okay.
There you go. Look, I was unfamiliar with Youth Group, so checked out a few of their songs, and I guess it's just described weak shit. That fits into this genre for me. Is that an actual genre? Weak shit. Sort of.
It certainly was at the time. It sounds like they got lucky with some support tours in Australia for Death Cab for Cutie and South by Southwest gigs. Then got signed to Epitaph, which is normally a punk label, just because the boss liked their second album. Given that they went on to support The Vines, Interpol, Coldplay, and Kings of Leon at different times, I think we can say that they naturally tapped into what Flight of the Conchords called the acceptable level of mediocrity required of long-time support bands, so as not to show up the main touring act, but be not shit enough to embarrass the main touring act as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, I think that's fair enough. Yeah, pretty mediocre. Founding guitarist Paul Murphy left the band in 2003 due to creative differences. That was a wise move on his part, I think. So, I don't know what he's up to now, but it can't be as bad as this.
Yeah, well, they managed to. They got some American play because of this song and the being the OC.
Yep.
So I think they did actually go on to do other stuff. I think they're in other bands now, at least the guitarist and the vocalist.
Did they get to perform live on the OC? Did they get to... I hope they were in an episode of the OC. Did they get to do that?
I forgot to look up. I should have checked that.
Because that would have been...
It was a Surf Dudes with Attitudes kind of
situation.
Look,
I do. I think that was it. I mean, I don't know what it was, but I don't know whether they still do it now, but obviously Peach Pit, After Dark, I'm sure that they booked bands at the Peach Pit. There was a big musical component of the OC where they'd book some bands. So the problem with the OC was it's set in Orange County. I kept waiting for early 2000s Orange County metalcore bands to come up and play, but it never happened.
If only.
It was always some jangly shit, and I was just like going, when are they going to get 18 Visions on there? But it never happened. So look, it was tough times for that.
I have exactly one youth group memory, which was from the Swan Basement, which was a sort of rock / hireable music club underneath this horrible old man pub in Fremantle where we used to go sometimes. They used to have punk shows there sometimes, and then sometimes they'd have weird shit like Sonic Animation, or they'd have like rockabilly nights, and all these rockabilly people would come out of the woodwork. So sometimes when we were drunk, we'd just show up hoping that something interesting would happen. And one time we went there, and instead of a bunch of hardcore dudes moshing at the front of the stage doing karate moves on each other, there were a bunch of people sitting on the floor in a semicircle, sort of reverentially crowded around the stage, waiting for something to happen. And this was, and this bar, like looking at it from above, was sort of a rectangular room with the stage at one end, and on either side of the stage were the men's and women's toilet doors. So which was inconvenient if there was a mosh pit going on, because it meant that any time anyone wanted to go to the toilet, you had to push around the edge of the mosh pit just to get to the toilet doors. And also you felt like you were on display because you had to sort
everyone
of
was watching
stage lights and stuff. And then forever and Tim, the guy just came out and was starting to like check the microphone, the vocalist and stuff, in his sort of fey kind of unassuming janglecore way, and then Tim sort of just staggered drunkenly to the front and looked back at all the people sitting on the ground and went, "What is this fucking story time?" So he was very proud of himself, and he came back and told us that he'd done it. And
they were like, "Yeah, I'll tell you that, youth group. We were sitting on the floor."
But I mean, seriously, who sits cross-legged at the front of a gig, for Christ's sake? You're not coming to see the Dalai Lama.
Yeah, that's
it was part of this sort of... This whole style was like this kind of incredibly sort of soft, sort of kind of... I guess sort of shoegazy a little bit. That sort of, Yeah,
this is weak. This is weak as piss.
Yeah. So. Anyway, introversion core music. Yeah.
Absolutely right. Look, so 30 cents, 260,000 listeners on Spotify. So some people are still checking out this cover and what other bullshit they did. So up next,
just the lyrics.
Oh, sorry.
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 It's really not that impressive. It's they didn't write it, so
No.
the original was released in '84, so it has a Cold War era start. Let's dance in style. Let's dance for a while. Heaven can wait. We're only watching the skies, hoping for the best but expecting the worst. Are you going to drop the bomb or not? Sort of thing. And the rest is just quite a plaintive, sort of gentle thing about how youth is transient but permanent at the same time, or at least it seems that way when you're young. Now that I'm older, it just seems like I wasted a lot of time being sad about things that didn't really matter. Although, as this song suggests, even the sadness and or threat of nuclear annihilation is kind of fun when you're 20. But, anyway. With the OC version, they just really leaned into the Forever Young bit from the chorus, which is the sort of simplest part.
And cut out all the other Cold War type elements.
Yeah, and the original has that slight sort of sadness to it as well, the kind of, contrast with the message. Do I want to be forever young?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's who knows? Not that anyone has a choice, do they? So, did youth group drop a rap part in the bridge, or
that's what was missing?
They should have.
Needed some guy going, "Wake me up!"
They should. Where's Paul McCoy on
That's
this
right.
shit? He would have livened it up,
The
no
real
doubt.
McCoy, they could have.
Oh, Paul McCoy featuring the real McCoy, I think would be a great musical thing. So, another night, another dream. Another night,
Wake me
another
up
dream.
from the other night.
Definitely. Well, let's make some phone calls, see if we can get those guys together. That's a match made in heaven. So, up next, for 8 weeks, that's a long time, Rihanna, SOS.
Ah, yes. Yeah, this is where she started off in Australia.
Yep. So, this is the first number one for Riri. SOS for 8 weeks. Take that, Chris Brown.
Yeah.
Your shitty Usher ripoff only hit number one for 3 weeks.
Oh, straight out of the gate, she's better
So
than him
Rihanna's
by
like just
far.
fucking kicked him to the curb on this shit. So now look, I don't think I'd ever realised, and that's because I don't think I've heard this song for 15 years. Certainly, I know it's her first number one, but it isn't as popular as, dare I say, iconic as some of the other material, particularly Umbrella. Everyone knows that one. But spoiler alert, we'll talk about that another time in the not too distant future, so I'm not going to talk about Umbrella now. But what I didn't realise was that this samples Soft Cell's Tainted Love.
Yeah, no, I didn't notice that either.
Now, I didn't notice at the time, but then I did, and then I'm not sure why you'd sample a song that's such a well-known song, and I don't know anyone that would rather listen to this than the original, but I don't really know what I'm talking about, obviously, so Rihanna's obviously, I'm going to sample Tainted Love, I'm going to do that.
Sure.
She's done it. Well, is it even a sample, or is it It is, yeah, there's definitely a sample
It's
in there.
closer to a cover
baseline,
than
yeah,
a sample.
cover, yeah.
No, it's...
She's got her own lyrics in it, but there's certainly, samples that.
follows
so,
that doon, 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 doon.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so she definitely does that. So I don't know. You choose that, but that's up to her. But look, I don't know what I'm talking about. Number one for 8 weeks. In my band at the time, Art of Seduction tried to release a Tainted Love reimagining as well, titled Tainted Cunt. So didn't take off. I won't talk about what it was about, but it's sort of we were going in an intense hammer race.
7LA didn't pick that up.
Didn't get the traction we were hoping for on mainstream radio, but I digress. So, yeah. Look, this is one of those songs where they filmed 3 videos for it.
Oh, okay.
3 music videos. One was the actual music video. One was a Nike promo video. I'm not sure what they did. She's just doing the song again, but in night clothes. And one was for Agent Provocateur, the lingerie company.
Ah, yes. Yep.
So, quick side note, Agent Provocateur once filmed a lingerie promo video with a death metal soundtrack.
Okay.
So they did that, and the company was started by the son of Vivienne Westwood and Malcolm McLaren, so there you go. Vivienne Westwood designed that Julian Assange's wife's outfit,
yes.
so there you go. So she's back in the news. Good times.
They also used Kylie Minogue around this time in a very pervy ad, which was designed for cinema audiences and doesn't make any sense sense otherwise. So you definitely shouldn't bother looking it up, even though it does feature Kylie in sheer underwear riding a mechanical bull. So
there you go. They're thinking outside the box. I like that. So
outside
the
box.
apple doesn't fall too far from the tree,
No.
Tom, one would suggest. So look, so back to the song. This was off Rihanna's second album. Her first album was released like only a year before this. Produced 2 top 10 singles in Australia.
Okay.
But yeah, so I stepped back into the studio straight away, and here we are. She's now, as you mentioned before, this is her first number one, but she has had either as the lead artist or as another artist, featuring Rihanna, 31 songs that have reached the top 10 in Australia.
Wow.
So that's a fuckload. I won't mention how many of those made it to number one, just to leave an element of mystery for the listeners of this podcast. However, I will say that Rihanna will be discussed several more times
Yes.
during the course
I
of the
wouldn't be
podcast.
surprised.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you actually. She didn't make an impression with me until Umbrella because, well, personally, I reckon this is a pretty decent pop song.
Oh yeah,
like just as Australian number ones go. However, it also sounds exactly like, to me at least, like it could be a Beyonce song.
Yeah.
And the video looks like you could just face swap Beyonce into it, right down to the vocal production, the outfits, the jewellery, and even the dance moves and stuff. Now, maybe that is down to the record company, as we previously discussed. They clearly feel a lot more comfortable with new artists' early releases if they can like slot them straight into an existing category, e.g. Beyonce knockoff or TLC knockoff for Pink or Britney knockoff for Delta.
Or as we saw with Chris Brown earlier, Usher knockoff.
Yes, exactly. Umbrella is not exactly Tchaikovsky, but at least it sounds a bit more sort of characteristic to Rihanna's current style. And thinking back, I was thinking, I do know this song vaguely. Why didn't it make an impression on me as Rihanna? And the answer is probably because I heard it on the radio and I just thought it was someone else.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I didn't go, who's this interesting new person? Like even, spoiler, but there's a Beyonce song that pops up later on this year. And even looking at the 2 covers of the 2 singles from these, they've got the same haircut, the same neck chain, and the same white tank top in the pictures. But that might not be her fault. That might just be, playing it safe,
For sure. I mean, she obviously, whoever discovered her, she's a talent. You just got to find her lane, I guess. And early on, it's just, I think the album before this even had a bit more, because she's from Barbados, a bit more of that sort of, Caribbean flair.
Yes.
And then this is a bit poppy. And then by the next album, I think she's sort of probably
doing her own stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So look, as is often the case with this podcast, though, Tom, when you speak about luminaries in the industry that have had numerous number one songs, I'm talking Euphoria, I'm talking Shannon Knowles, you run out of things to talk about. So I don't want to discuss all things Rihanna right now.
Sure.
There's a few things about Rihanna that I want to leave in the bank, but I think that obviously, the most obvious starting point for me is to talk about the important things, those sort of issues that, really define Rihanna, really define her career. I think in doing so, starting with those things in order of importance, a good place to start would be her role in the 2012 film Battleship.
Yes, her most iconic
absolutely
performance.
For sure. Now, at some point, someone in the film industry thought that perhaps it would be a good idea, and this idea gained enough traction that $200 million in funding was obtained to adapt a board game into a major motion picture. Now, Hollywood have obviously had some hits with video game adaptations, Tom. I'm talking Angry Birds, Street Fighter, the Christian Slater vehicle Alone in the Dark, and of course Super Mario Brothers, all very good. But a board game, it doesn't have an actual story of any kind. Might be a hard task. So those other video games,
They have complex narratives.
They do have complex
things
narratives.
that really lend themselves to a cinematic experience, like emojis.
Yeah, exactly. Angry Birds. A bird has to fly,
Be angry,
be angry. Street Fighter, someone has to kick the shit out of someone else. Alone in the Dark, you shoot something or whatever in a house. Super Mario Brothers, you got to rescue that princess. You can turn those into films. Battleships, though, so it was a difficult sell to begin with. But fortunately, they had an all-star cast. Taylor Kitsch Brooklyn Decker, Rihanna, all the big names. Rihanna hadn't acted before this, if you can believe that, and you almost couldn't tell as much was the power of her performance. Now, with a video game, yeah, look, you do have that material. You have to generally try and stay true to the source material. Doesn't always happen, like when the producers of Lawnmower Man were forced to take Stephen King's name off the project, as it had sweet fuck all to do with the actual book. But, you know, you have something to work with. Not the case with Battleship. So that gave, in many ways, it freed up the writers.
They had the idea of battling ships.
Sorry, of course, absolutely. The writers had the creative freedom to choose whatever path they so desired. In this Battleship Rihanna-led film, they ran with the bold move of the crew of a small group of warships are forced to battle against a naval fleet of extraterrestrial origin in order to thwart their destructive goals. Probably should have just tried to do a Hunt for Red October knockoff or something.
Probably.
Is that a bit too whack? Just going, what if there were alien battleships?
Yeah,
like, are you fucking serious?
The trailer, I never saw the film, but the trailer just made it look like, hey, what if Independence Day, except instead of people like flying around shooting at aliens, they're just big fucking boats that can't go anywhere and they just sit on the water and then aliens blow them up from space. Which weirdly didn't sell a lot of people on the idea, I don't think.
No, I believe it was a massive flop. It lost a lot of money, and I don't know whether Rihanna's really done much since in terms of music.
Yeah, I know that was the end of her career, certainly. She never recovered from that.
So her acting didn't quite take off, but it didn't matter because, Tom, did you know that Rihanna is the richest female pop star?
I did not.
She has a net worth of $1.7 billion, which is completely insane. So we can talk more about this next time.
That means she's worth more than fucking Shakira, who's like a cross-continental star and was named in the Panama Papers. She's richer than Madonna, who just did a $260 million tour. She's richer than fucking Beyonce, who's married to Jay-Z. Wow.
Yeah, so
it's she must have some irons in the fire.
Well, we can talk about this more next time. As did
she invest in Dogecoin on the ground floor?
She did.
Took Elon's advice.
She got in an A-coin on the ground floor, I believe. So she hit that up. So she did a duet with A-coin. He said, "You want to fucking get in on this A-coin shit?"
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. We don't want to completely talk about her too much. Like with Black Eyed Peas, where we spent 30 seconds discussing all the interesting things about Black Eyed Peas and then we're out of material.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, look, Rihanna will be back, to be honest, next week or the week after, I think.
My memory's not great, but I'm pretty sure Umbrella was a number one, if I remember correctly.
It certainly was. So, look, we can talk about that. And when we do, maybe touch on some of her business shit because... Yeah, that's crazy. 1.7 billion, didn't realise.
Friggin' bananas.
What about the lyrics of this powerhouse?
Well, this is credited to Soft Cell, E. Kid Bogart, and J.R. Rotem. That's a Canadian producer who's worked with Nicki Minaj, 50 Cent, Fall Out Boy, Linkin Park, and Chris I Punch Women in the Face Brown, to name a few. I'm obsessive when just one thought of you comes up, and I'm aggressive, just one thought ain't close enough. You got me stressing, incessantly pressing the issue, because every moment gone, you know I miss you. Now, I'm celibate, obviously, but I know a couple of people who've had girlfriends like that, and frankly, even if they are Rihanna, I'm not sure it would be worth the trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She sounds like the sort of person who makes you sit through a weird, passive-aggressive conversation after you took 2 extra minutes to buy milk, because she doesn't trust the bitch who works at the newsagent.
Yeah,
you know
I think
what I mean?
About it, yeah.
Maybe that's just me. I might just be being misogynist.
Oh, look, I don't know, Tom.
Also, note how even the phrasing sounds like a fucking Beyonce song, like the internal rhymes and stuff. Yeah, fuck. I mean, I know Beyonce doesn't write her own songs either, but yeah, just
it's
clearly.
Safe to say that at this stage, yes, certainly, it was the target demographic was Beyonce fans.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, and look, it's interesting because I believe by Umbrella, Jay-Z does a bit of a rap on that one, doesn't he, as well? So
yeah, but weirdly, I don't think Umbrella sounds exactly like a Beyonce song.
No,
I'm sure she could do a cover of it, but yeah, this to me just sounds like a photocopy. But yeah,
absolutely right. So we mentioned 8 weeks. Did we say that at the start? 8 weeks. That's a long time. That's 2 months, 2 calendar months. So that's ages 62 cents this will cost you on the Discogs, and Rihanna does have 48 million listeners on the Spotify. So not quite hitting the same numbers as Eminem, but pretty damn close. That's a lot of dudes. So good times. All right, up next is this one. Shakira featuring Wyclef Jean, Hips Don't Lie.
Oh, this was a huge hit as well.
Absolutely was. It was massive. Now,
this
is 9
weeks. Friggin' hell.
So
I forgot this one was that big.
Yeah,
Good
crazy.
hell.
So let's address the elephant in the room, Tom. Shakira's expressed as a statement of fact that hips don't lie, but I want to reframe the statement as a question and ask, can hips lie? What do you think? Is it possible?
Well, I suppose, if we're talking like hips using semaphore, I guess you could send an inaccurate statement via your hips.
Yeah, that's true. Look,
on the dance floor, though, hey, we're all speaking the same language.
Exactly. Look, and I think that's where this song comes from. Shakira's indicated that what she means is when a song is a dance floor banger, like your Lee Harding's Wasabi or your TV Rock and Shawnee B Flaunt It, but you can't help but move those hips. If those hips are swinging, then you can't deny it's a great song, so she's saying that your hips don't lie.
Makes more sense.
So,
I always assumed it was meant in just a seductive sense, but that actually makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it does, absolutely. So I get what she's saying, but we can take this one step further. We know that Shakira's been involved in what some would consider serious tax evasion, and a judge has recommended that she stand trial in Spain later this year. When Shakira's on the stand, the prosecutors are going to ask her some difficult questions about her tax affairs, and there is a chance that Shakira may be tempted to hide the truth in order to save herself. Perjury is what we're talking here. So, if the prosecutors direct its line of questioning to Shakira's hips, then I think that A, we'll finally discover the truth about her tax affairs, or, in the alternative hypothesis, let's call it Shakira's theory of relative hip truth, will be disproven. So, it'll turn out that, we'll either find out the truth about her tax affairs, or we'll learn that hips can lie. So, look, if it's A, then we should look, maybe lawyers in the future should only be asking questions of people's hips to extend, we can also do that to politicians, real estate agents, lawyers, everyone, so that we can finally get past this post-truth world into a post-truth world where the truth reigns supreme.
Perjury would be a thing in the past.
Oh, it would be, absolutely.
The only problem I can see is that you would have to look at a lot of really overweight white guys' hips in the court system.
Oh, you can still wear clothes. You can still be dressed with the hips, but people just...
Do you want to watch Donald Trump twerking, though?
No, I don't really know.
Surely those court cases would have to be the ones where no one's allowed to film them and the sketch artist commits suicide later on. Anyway... this song is based on Dance Like This by Wyclef Jean / Claudette Ortiz, and it samples the trumpets from Jerry Rivera's Amore Como El Nuestro. It topped the charts in over 55 countries, including for 2 weeks in the US. So I'm guessing Shakira called her accountants and told them to funnel another tax-free 80 mil to her PO box in the Galapagos Islands. But, I mean, her reign of success continues. She can't be stopped.
Absolutely right. Look, this song is off the album Oral Fixation Volume 2. Now, did anyone at all say to Shakira, that might not be the best name for an album? I mean, she did release that swastika merch, so I dare say that there's no one in Shakira's camp willing to provide constructive feedback on her creative decisions. Do you think someone could have just went, yo, Shakira, oral fixation might make people think you're singing about blowjobs? But just no one had the balls to tell us, so I don't know.
Now, listeners, Ben is obviously joking here. We both know that clearly the only reason it's called oral fixation is to make people think about blowjobs.
That's true.
She wanted to call it anal fixation, but apparently Walmart threatened to pull out. Whoops, matron, who were... Nudge, nudge, clang, clang, etc. Sorry, I'm not very good at double entendres. Then again, neither is Shakira, apparently. No. Maybe that sounded better in Spanish. And Volume 2 as well.
Yeah,
it's really, this title was so good it's got to come back for another round.
Absolutely. Right. I believe Oral Fixation Volume 1 was a Spanish language album.
Oh, so, okay. Maybe oral fixation sounds better in Spanish, perhaps.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, or it's a better pun. Play on words. Lyrically, Wyclef singing, "Hey girl, I can see your body moving and it's driving me crazy, and I didn't have the slightest idea until I saw you dancing that when you walk up on the dance floor, nobody cannot ignore the way you move your body, girl, and everything's so unexpected the way you right and left it."
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that unexpected. Like, if I had to describe my expectations, I'd say she was probably going to wiggle her hips around in a provocative way.
Yep.
Maybe in really uncomfortable looking jeans, perhaps. Maybe a bit like she's recently contracted thrush. Does that sound about right?
I think so. The music video does involve a lot of hip work, but that was...
I don't even know if I've
the-
seen the video, but I'm guessing that's what happened.
Oh, look, even if the song wasn't called Hips Don't Lie and Shakira, there would have involved some hip work, I think. So she does do a bit of belly dancing action from time to time. So once you call your song Hips Don't Lie, it's going to be just hip work fucking 24/7.
I kind of feel a bit sorry for her around this time, similar to some of the artists we've covered in the last couple of years, that they just happen to be performing in a extremely hip and butt-focused style of music in a time when the most fashionable pants you could be wearing were also the most uncomfortable jeans ever invented.
Yep.
E.g. the extremely tight, low-rise
Yeah.
jeans, which basically meant that you have to have zero body fat and shave your pubes every single day, and every time you do a dance move, you're just in danger of mooning the entire camera crew.
Exactly right.
And you
yeah.
can't wear underpants without everybody seeing what underpants you were wearing.
Yep.
So maybe she actually did have thrush. Who knows?
Not sure, but yeah, certainly I don't envy having to do those belly dance moves in that sort of
No.
type of pant. But look, she survived. She lived to tell the tale.
She did, yep.
And we'll only find out if she'll be wearing those jeans in court later in this year for a tax evasion case. So there you go. 73 cents for this, sure. 34 million
high.
for Shakira. That's a lot. We knew that.
Yep.
She does have the Spanish language audience as
She
well,
does.
so she gets to double dip in a sense, I guess. And 5 mil for old Wyclef. So he's doing okay.
I guess so, yeah.
Guess he's doing all right. Guess he's doing fine on this one. So up next for 2 weeks, JT, Sexy Back.
Only 2 weeks, but this got played a lot.
Well, that was the thing. I thought this was probably the biggest song of the year. It
Yeah.
seemed to be fucking everywhere.
It
when
was
it
one
came
of the
out.
biggest club songs of the
Yeah.
year. Oh, yeah, no, it was.
But I was
all
off
over
by
the-
some margin because this was only 2 weeks, while Rihanna and Shakira were 8 and 9 respectively.
Yeah, it's
So,
definitely a year for the ladies this
Yep.
year, for sure. Certainly in the pop scene, yeah.
yeah. Look, I think people are probably not. No one I know, but I think people are probably still saying "bringing sexy back" today. You think that's still an expression people use?
Sure.
So look, that expression was fucking worn out by the end of the year, though. I'd say. that.
But on the
bringing
other
sexy
hand,
back.
you said it yourself, people are still saying
yeah,
it,
that's
you know?
true. So it's,
Is it better to stick in people's minds for something annoying
Yeah.
or be forgotten for something good?
That's right. It's a cultural phenomenon, this song, I think. So JT, he'd sort of gone a bit more of a... Well, he had the sexy edge last time, didn't he? Remember with that other song he
Yes.
did where he did the beatbox bit in the middle? It was
Yeah.
terrible.
No,
So he's-
I'm agreeing with you here. Yeah.
He's got rid of the dyed
Yes.
sort of spirally noodle hair
Yep.
action, which he'd had last time. He's got the suit. He's wearing the sort of suit action here. So, for sure. Look, so I think the image-wise, yeah, it's spot on. The question is, though, and this, I think, is a question a lot of people have asked, did Justin bring sexy back? Because it's a fucking bold claim. For one, we have to start with the assumption that sexy had disappeared. Now, I, for one, can't recall a time where sexy was out. Can you
No,
remember that?
no,
Where
that's
extremely attractive males and females with high level of sex appeal were on the out and just had to go, people just like, they don't care
Yes.
about that anymore. You know, I would have been a model 2 years ago, but now I have to work as a toilet cleaner because no one cares about sexy anymore. So, I don't know, I have to get a real job, like become a real estate agent or creative director of an ad agency or something like that. I'm not sure, but
Well, those are two pretty sexy jobs.
there they
Ben.
are. Yep.
I mean, maybe like with the latter one, you could combine your extreme physical appeal with a passion for finding 836 new portmanteau words for tampons.
Yeah, that's true,
say.
yeah.
Okay, so top 3 on the whiteboard, we've got Snatchtacular, Convergeniant, and Axe Woundiful.
Yeah.
Time for a quick gram and then back to work.
I think so.
Good, nearly gone 11, all right.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, it is a weird question. Like, I know what you mean. Like, it doesn't make sense. You could go, well, he's talking about himself, but that doesn't make sense.
No.
because he's talking about, it's directed towards a large group of people. And you go, well, maybe he's talking about how, the 70s and even 80s were sexier decades than the 90s. But he's not old enough to have been aware of sexiness in the 80s. So, like you say, I'm not sure where sexiness is meant to have gone from.
Well, it didn't disappear. So he didn't bring it back. So none of this makes any sense. But I think that shows the power of the song. The fact that it just makes no fucking sense whatsoever.
It's begging
people
the
were just
question,
like
but it's too good for people to care. They're
people
like,
just got stuck in people's head and they're like,
That's
yeah,
right.
I'm bringing sexy back, baby. It's just like, not really sure that you are. But look, sexy back is all one word as well.
Yeah, weirdly. And that
so-
album title was too. It's Future Love / Sex Sounds, all one word, much like, what's her name? Gwen Stefani's, what was that? Love Happy Japan bullshit or something like that.
That sucked, yeah, that's right. That was a terrible
clearly
name.
that was a fad at the time.
So, being sexy, it's being all one word. Have I misread this for the last 15 years? And he's trying to make backs sexy? Is that like sexy back? Like I've got
I
a
see.
sexy back.
Yes.
So, look, so much of what is deemed sexy has always had to do with the front. I think for the history of time, beautiful facial features, chiseled jaw, mad cans, shredded abs. But there's been little focus on the back. And maybe that's what JT was trying to do, to sort of say, sexy back. Who's got a sexy back?
Especially on men, it's not a very focused on area of men.
Yeah, I mean, who has the sexiest back, do you think, if you had to go with someone?
I would probably say Ben Affleck because
yeah.
of his recently discovered 10-colour felt pen tattoo that he's got all over his entire back. I mean, if that's not sexy, hey, it worked for J-Lo twice.
Definitely. I'm going to say Jason Statham. So I think he has the
I couldn't
sexiest
remember
back.
the name of that. He's in that video by the Shaman. Did I mention that? I think I mentioned it on my year-end wrap-up of one. It's one of the Shamans. The Shaman did Ebenezer Good.
Yep.
But they've also got an early song. I've never even heard it before, but in the video it features Jason Statham dancing like a podium dancer, just completely nude, greased up, but with like leopard print Speedos, except like through the magic of 2001 computer technology, they've like digitally multiplied them. So there's like a whole spiraling array of just Jason Statham's dancing around.
Nice.
If you'd told me then that guy's going to be a Hollywood movie star one day, I would have
Wouldn't
said.
have believed it. Did you get much back action in that music
No,
video?
it was all front. See, there you go.
No.
JT might be onto something
Damn,
with it.
because I reckon he's got a sexy back.
The question I was going to ask is, did you prefer this version of the song or the 2007 cover version from the Poison album, Poisoned?
Well, it puts me in a tough spot, Tom, because the cover is always better than the original.
Yes, yes.
But I do quite like the original, but I also do like Poison. So
It was good to hear them still trying to make new metal happen in 2006 anyway.
Yeah,
I have to say.
definitely. Look,
2007.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have wanted to get that wrong.
in the wrong hands, it could be terrible. But fortunately, Brett Michaels and
Yes,
CC
his
DeVille
safe hands.
tastefully know how to handle such things as this. So I think, probably the cover is better.
I'm a bit of a glam metal fan, and I was astonished to find that there was a 2007 Poison album.
I think they're still going to this day.
Rock of Love must have been out
Oh, yeah.
going at this point, surely. Like, oh man.
Yeah, Rock of Love, season 1 and 2, and then I think even the Bus of Love, or whatever the fuck that was, had departed the station by this time. But they're still going in some capacity.
Sure.
So good on them. But yeah, they did a cover album. What else was on that
okay.
cover? They did this cover song, but I think they might have done a whole cover album.
Okay, maybe that's Poisoned.
Yeah, I hope
hence
so.
the clever play on words. That would actually make a weird kind of sense.
Yeah, to see Poison do a
It's spelled Poison apostrophe D.
Yeah, I think them doing a full covers album, I think by this time in your career it is effectively all you've got left, I think.
Yes, especially with a new metal flavour 7 years too
Yeah,
late.
for sure. I've just had a quick look on Wikipedia, Tom. 9 new tracks and 5 previously released covers
Okay.
make up the album.
Well, they wouldn't have had much time to previously release this one. So
Little Willie by The Sweet. Suffragate City by
David
David Bowie. I Never Cry by Alice Cooper. I Need to Know by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Can't See You, the Marshall Tucker Band. Oh, there's a lot of trash on here.
Oh, I could see they got a Loggins and Messina. Oh, that's Your Mama Don't Dance. Oh, that was a cover. I didn't know that.
Was,
okay.
exactly,
I see. So I see what they mean. So they've already done 9 covers already in their storied 2-album career. So now they've busted out
Rock
some
and
new
Roll
ones.
All Night by Kiss, and Sexy Back was the bonus track. Tom, so there you go.
Glad to hear
Good stuff. Good. Yeah, that's great. I'll be listening to that tomorrow, I think, Tom. I'll be jamming that out all day. So, yeah. Look, this was a bit of a new sound for JT. I don't even know what you would call this, but it's minimal, I think, from the like sort of minimal synthy, millennium-y pop. Like musically, like it's quite a simple.
Yes.
Yeah. Like musically, it's quite simple, but just a lot of as well. There's a lot of that action.
Little
So
samples.
pretty minimal, but like quite catchy, I think. So
Yeah,
and obviously
definitely.
JT's the lyrics, even though they make no sense, they're very memorable, and he's got his own unique vocal styling. So this is certainly something I heard a lot of at the time.
Yeah. God
it was
almighty.
absolutely fucking everywhere.
Yeah.
And the album Future Sex Love Sounds. That's right.
what
That's
it
what
was
you
called,
mentioned,
yeah.
which is another whack title like that Gwen Stefani one, as you mentioned. Most of it was produced by Timbaland, who I assume was able to put in a new pool off the proceeds from this album. So,
or at least
very
a
popular.
new warehouse to expand his shoe manufacturing operation that he's been
It's
working
true.
on.
He does that part time. Yeah, exactly.
The song samples Eddie Bow song Hook and Sling Part 1, which is that, you ready? That you hear all the way through the song.
yeah.
You ready? I thought there were more samples in it because, as you said, it's cut. It's
got that,
sort of, it's got this kind
Or
of
is that-
gated sound through it.
Or is that just Timbaland just going?
I think that's bits of that, and and he does little bits in it too. I know what you mean. It's hard to describe. It's like it's like samples of itself, sort of thing. There's another song with you that does it. As
I feel like at the time this was a very unique sound.
Yes.
These days,
it's
probably
more
all
common now.
people would just be like, "Oh, it just sounds like a pop song." But at the time, I remember musically, even though it was quite simple, it did have a sound that was different from other pop songs that were happening at the time.
Yeah, and even just stripped back things were they're much more common now. Like Billie Eilish can have a song on the number one that sounds like it's going to float away if you cough next to it because it's hardly there at all. But this was less common back then to have that style thing.
Yeah.
Incidentally, that Hook and Sling is one of those songs with a good breakbeat and vocal hits from like 1969 that producers have stripped mined to death. That I've talked about before, like hip hop guys. The song sounds highly familiar, even though you've probably never heard the original before. If you listen to it, it's been sampled in more than 90 songs, including "Mama Said Knock You Out," Kanye West, N.W.A., Schoolie D, and the Young Black Teenagers, who I will never get tired of pointing out were all white. All 5 of them in the band. Yes,
It's an odd choice of band name.
Yeah, I had to refresh. Did you watch the video?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
He's wearing a suit.
He is.
No, it's good, yeah. So the music video was directed by Michael Halsman, who also did Martika, Love Thy Will Be Done, and Richard Marx Hazard.
What can I say? The man loved black, and he also loved white.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
This isn't quite black and white. In my memory, it was, but I rewatching it. But you can tell he really wanted it to be. It's sort of super washed out and uses that blue-grey effect.
Yep.
In a lot of it, it's almost grayscale, that kind of 90s blue computer effect. I didn't think it was actually a bad video.
No, not at all.
He actually gets to do a bit of acting. It's like a kind of little mini spy movie, one of those, pretending we're doing James Bond things. But yeah, he's not bad given the right role. Like Sean Parker, the guy from Napster and Social Network, I reckon he was pretty good as that.
Yeah, definitely.
I haven't seen whatever that one with the dog. When they tried to make him a movie star briefly.
Is that a film with JT in it?
Yeah, it's called it's not The Power of the Dog because that's a new show. It's something.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway.
Did you
Slumdog.
Did you see him in Southland Tales, Tom?
JT. I did, yes. That was the best scene in Southland Tales.
Yep.
Not that's a particularly high bar to clear. Or maybe that one with the Rock staggering around on drugs, kind of confused.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for Richard Kelly to release the promised real version of the fixed up version or whatever of that film.
I wouldn't hate a Mission Impossible-esque role for JT.
Yeah.
He's quick on his feet. He looks good in a suit. Chicks love him. maybe he could go up against a sort of Spectre-like consortium composed of the insane, hideously disfigured former members of NSYNC.
Yeah.
You know, conspiring to destroy
Absolutely.
the world from the shadows.
Look, Tom, I'm putting it out here. I've heard rumours the next James Bond. You've heard it here. Well, either that or the
Hey,
next Johnny English.
Couldn't be
that's
worse than some.
Sorry, just
Maybe
for-
he can be the fifth Bourne Identity or whatever.
Oh yeah,
that one
definitely.
they keep trying to bring back from the dead.
Yeah, definitely. So look, what about the lyrics, Tom?
Written by JT, produced by Timbaland, as you
Yep.
said. I'm bringing sexy back. You motherfuckers watch how I attack.
Hmm.
If that's your girl, better watch your back. Not sure why I'd be watching my back, but I
Always
guess
bringing sexy back.
because she'll burn it up for me, and that's a fact. What do you reckon she's burning up for him, Ben?
Some sort of evidence, I think, in a trial, maybe. That's if it was
yeah.
Shakira, I assume, that
Yes,
destroying
maybe
tax
it's
records.
a hips
But
don't lie type situation.
yeah, definitely. No, I'm not sure.
Either way, it sounds sexy to me. Maybe she
Yeah.
found a way to generate geothermal power downstairs, and now his underpants are off the grid.
I would suggest that could be the case.
My best guess.
Number one song with "motherfucker" in it. It's you know, when you're going for this,
Yeah.
when you're going for a song, you think this is going to be the first single off the album. I'm going to get it out there. Got to get it onto radio. It is a bold move, but you can always
Yeah.
just do a bit of a beep over.
Oh,
it
it's
or-
always the mother.
edited-
It's the
yeah.
mother uckers by
Yeah.
this point. They've moved past the beat, but they still
Yeah.
don't have the balls to have
Yeah,
the
they've
word
got rid of
fuck in it.
beeps, which is
Yeah.
which is good. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's right. They just usually go. Yeah, they just drop the vocal down, don't they? So it's just silence for a bit.
There's
so.
an entire Flight of the Conchords song where they just do it with their own voices, which is pretty funny.
67 cents. 24 million listeners for JT. We knew that. 2 weeks, still a surprise for me. I just assumed it would have been.
These Discogs
for a
prices
long
are
time.
creeping up this year. Do
They
you
are,
reckon
yeah.
maybe it's because...
Apart from that Chris Brown single, which is
Apart
2
from-
cents, yeah. But-
Well, that was probably set on fire. Do you reckon maybe it's because they are printing less physical stuff nowadays?
Yeah, I
and So
do.
the physical stuff on Discogs, which is what Discogs sell,
Yep.
they're not selling digital files.
Yep.
Maybe they're. I'll still just have to see as time goes on whether the physical
Yeah,
versions are going up.
but I think you're right there in a sense that when 5 years ago, when we were doing this around 2000, it was just all CD singles, and you know,
Yes.
and then there was gradually, we're doing downloads now, but by now you would suspect that a great number of
Yeah.
the songs would have just been downloads through iTunes. or
Well,
whatever
as we
else.
said, we just this year,
Yeah.
iTunes just passed its 1 billionth
Yep.
download, and that's going to go up exponentially. Well, at
Exactly.
least until they cancel iTunes. This year.
Yeah, so less, you're right, probably less physical copies. So, yeah, who knows? In a couple of years' time, we might be getting into dollar amounts rather than
So
just.
hold on to your old Chris Brown CDs.
Exactly right, exactly. So, yeah, great. All right, up next, Sandy Tom. I wish I was a punk rocker, bracket with flowers in my hair, end bracket. 10 weeks.
10 weeks.
10 fucking weeks.
Australia, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Now,
It's
last
2.5 months. I'd successfully managed to forget this fucking song.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Look, I hadn't heard it for some time as
No,
well.
me
Actually, a
neither.
friend of mine a few months ago, just when I was in a shop and I heard that wish I was a punk rock with flowers in my hair song, I'd completely forgotten about that. And it was terrible. And I was like, yep. So, look, last week we had one of the worst songs of the decade, and to be fair, the millennium, with
Perhaps of all
Crazy
time,
Frog,
yes.
Axel F, where conceptually the entire thing was completely fucked. Whereas with this, I must say that only the lyrical concepts are completely fucked. Is that a fair assessment? This is low key, probably a dark horse for worst of the decade.
Yeah, it would certainly be in the top 5
Yep.
for sure. I'd put this up right next to "Fuck You, I Don't Want You Back" by Eben.
Yeah, that's not great, is it? So
This is less hateful, but it's more fucking irritating.
yeah, now it does make the listener ponder though such deep questions as what is music, as this doesn't actually have any. Nothing-
Nothing. No, you're quite right.
Nothing that I would consider to be composed music, but then people might say, just music doesn't have to be composed. It can be, you look at sort of jazz and impromptu type music where people just get into a groove and go off the cusp and try and do things. So just because something is impromptu doesn't mean that it can't be music.
Yeah.
But this is someone shaking a maraca for a couple of minutes with a bit of hand clapping from time to time.
It's barely a song.
Yep.
It really is. The production is 90% raw vocals, and she does not have the Janis Joplin voice you need to pull that shit off.
Yep.
It also forces you to listen to the lyrics even harder, which we'll get into, but I know singers fucking love the idea of the first verse or chorus with no instrumentation to highlight the beauty of their voice and lyrics, but the number of them with the combined vocal talent and songwriting ability to justify that is about as high as the ticket price for a Sandy Tom show right now. The video is the same. It's a person walking down London Street toward the camera while singing. Now, if you're not Kylie Minogue being directed by Michelle Gondry, then maybe think of something more flattering to your meagre talents, you asswipe, because that's already been done 100 times and you are not more interesting than that.
If someone came up to you and said, I've got this idea for a music video, you're going to be walking on the street or one take, would you be like... The first time someone did that, I'd be like, that's cool. But by now, it's total bullshit.
Yeah,
Look,
it's like someone saying, hey, what if you had a bunch of signboards with bits of the words printed on them, and as they came past, you dropped them onto the ground in front of you? Well, like, okay, that wasn't particularly interesting the first time someone did it, and people have copied it 400 times since then, and it got progressively less interesting each time.
Yeah,
so unless I've simultaneously got fireworks coming out of my anus, then probably no, I'll think of something else, thanks.
Yeah, look, so as we said, this song has no music, what I would consider to be music, but I guess the backing track doesn't really matter with a song when you have such sublime lyrical content as this song.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually the biggest problem with the song. The title should tip you off as to how inane the whole piece is. I wish I was a punk rocker with flowers in my hair, Tom. I wish I was a punk rocker with flowers in my hair.
Yes.
Now, I don't expect everyone to know all the tropes of punk rock, and I wouldn't expect Sandy to get around a swastika shirt in the music video as a tribute to Sid Vicious, or sing about heroin abuse or living in squats. And yeah, maybe you want to avoid focus on some of the less glamorous aspects of punk lifestyle and focus instead on Vivienne Westwood and high fashion. But conflating punk with flowers in the hair hippies is one of the fucking stupidest things ever. I mean, it's ever in music, maybe one of the stupidest things of all time. And look, we talked about My Humps last week as having some of the most ridiculously shit lyrics of all time. But look, punk was the antithesis of, and a lot of things obviously, but particularly progressive rock and the hippie ideals, I guess, at around that time. So the fact that your song title is "I Wish I Was a Punk Rock with Flowers in My Hair" shows a less than I've read a 15-minute Wikipedia article on punk level of understanding.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I mean, it's not great. And like, for what it's worth, I know people listening to this aren't designers, and some people don't care about this stuff, but the cover design for this single is one of the shittest things I've ever seen released professionally, and that includes Love Generation from earlier this year, which looks like it was designed by a stoned 8-year-old using only the things stuck to the family refrigerator door. This is worse than that. Have you actually seen it?
I don't know if I have, but I'm going to look at it now.
It's-
Yeah. Oh no, I probably would have, because
It's literally just scribbles. I shouldn't use the word literally anymore, but occasionally it is justified, as in here. It looks like a game show contest to design the worst CD cover in the shortest amount of time using only one crayon and a sheet of yellow paper. Oh, that must be a fucking re-release. There's another one. Anyway, except that's actually less fun than that would be, because I'd probably panic and draw a giant fanny or something. But yeah, look, it suits the music, I'd say, sure.
Oh, look, if the cover's dog shit, then certainly it's served the purpose of alerting the general public that what they're about to buy is going to be completely trash. So, look, I mean, Tom said that she wrote the song after being robbed of her mobile phone and other belongings one evening, leaving her completely lost and without any way of contacting friends, family, or the bank. She says, I wondered if that had happened to me, in the day of the hippies, what would I have done, and would I have freaked out so much? Because whatever. Why? I don't know. Like, because back in the hippie days, you know, if someone stole my wallet, it wouldn't have mattered or something. Or I don't have a phone.
Like she's saying, I'm too attached to technology, man, and I care too much. Okay.
Look, I can understand that. Look, it would be terrifying to be robbed, and you might want to write a song about it. But how the fuck she ended up with this song from that sort of scenario is anyone's guess. Do you think the robbers, if they'd known that this song was the result, would have still robbed her? I don't think they would have. They would have just left her alone. But then here's another thing. The story of her purportedly being robbed of her possessions and then coming up with the song is probably fake anyway, because everything about her entire career is completely fake.
Oh, okay.
So, so the song is terrible. But then she was billed as the first artist discovered by a major label via a webcast. Which, for those people, what's a word? It's just
like a YouTube
it's
video.
Just, broadcasting live. So just like going Facebook Live, or doing a video, going live on Instagram, or whatever your source is. OnlyFans, maybe if you're doing something with fruit and vegetables. But certainly back in 2006, broadcasting yourself live was probably a novel concept.
Yes.
So the claim is that she was in a bedroom flat, playing the songs, and someone from a major label saw this and went, "Oh, we got to sign her, so that's great." So that's the publicity story that they gave. But what happened was that the single was originally released in 2005 on a record label called Viking Legacy. So what the fuck that means. Went nowhere. Then she signed to Sony, and Sony ended up circulating this story that she played in a basement flat. It had gone viral. 70,000 people had tuned in to this, including an executive who signed her. But the story's fake. She did do webcasts, but it didn't get anywhere near the number of viewers. It turned out that she was signed to a major label before she did the webcast, and they were just used as marketing purposes to create a fake "she was found on the internet" story. As you may forget that around this time, artists like the Arctic Monkeys were signed off the back of being big on MySpace. So it seems completely crazy, and young people might be like, "What the fuck?" But there was a period of time where it was novel for an artist to put an unsigned artist to put their music onto MySpace or something.
It was the start of
people would
going
see it,
viral,
and then they'd get signed. So that was new at the time. So the record label created this whole backstory of people saw her shitty webcast, and then this was the result. So anyway, the story got circulated, got some traction, created interest in the song. Oh, what? This girl got found on the internet. Better listen to this song. And it was enough for it to be a number one for 10 weeks in Australia.
Oh, fuck, that's terrible.
10 fucking weeks. So creating a fake story to sell records, it's music marketing 101. So I guess it's sort of nothing new for someone to invent something. But this level of fakeness was pretty shit, and somehow projected this song into the minds of people. And fucking hell, it is so bad. I can't even believe that anyone
would go out. If it was good, you could forgive that. There's always a bit of self-mythologizing that goes along. Yeah. Often it's from the artist's end, and the publishers just push it. But if it's good enough, you forgive them. Yep. Or if this was a genuine accidental hit, then I would think, well, it's fucking terrible. But at least she got to the top herself. But the idea that this was constructed is disturbing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I can't believe everything about this, to be honest.
That first Arctic Monkeys album was hyped to the heavens off the basis of their sort of quasi-viral success. I remember that. So I can sort of see why overpaid, unimaginative twats would try to immediately recreate the unrecreatable idea of an underground success. And you get like two bites of the cherry. First of all, someone else discovers a genuine underground band for you, thus doing the job you're too shit to do yourself. And then they give you a free promotional campaign on top of it, e.g. an actual grassroots story of how that happened, which you also don't have to put down the rolled up 50 long enough to concoct yourself, and you can go straight back to lunch. But for one thing, Arctic Monkeys weren't a mainstream pop success.
Yeah.
You know, their album was a big hit because I think it was the first album to get to number one without being on a... Was it?
I'm not sure,
There was some record for them. Maybe it was downloads or something.
Yep.
But as you'll notice, I don't think they had any number one singles.
No, not that I know
this
of.
year
But certainly,
anyway, but, yeah.
but it was certainly a sort of, hey, we just recorded some songs by
Yeah.
ourselves with our own money.
And the story
and
becomes
then we put them
the story
on this,
itself.
and then people, exactly.
People
So
like
was-
that narrative.
For sure. So they just ripped off the entire story, except changed it into a fake, webcast thing.
But fortunately, it didn't work. Oh, no, it did work.
And then it did work
just 15
for
minutes.
one of the
for
worst
15
songs.
minutes.
Yeah. So that's terrible. Look, her follow-up single only reached 36 in Australia, and she's done fuck all since on the charts. So I guess that once people... I don't know whether people even bothered to find out that the whole story was fake, but anyway...
I'd
her
never
career
heard that
just
story
completely...
at all. I just thought, fuck, this song sucks.
Oh,
I hope it
the
goes
song
away
is so
quickly.
bad you wouldn't bother doing
Yeah.
any research into the backstory because you're just like going, I hope she goes away, and she did. Her covers collection did feature November Rain though, so which
How dare you.
I'm sure she did that justice.
Better hope Axel doesn't find out about that.
Yeah, exactly right. So look, Charlie Brooker,
Charlie
one of
Brooker.
my favourites, who used to write a lot on The Guardian back in the day.
Yeah,
so
used to do annual TV white things.
He's busy these days doing stuff, so to probably not just write articles about random crap.
Oh,
but
he
I'm
does
sure
Black
that's-
Mirror.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's probably, I'm sure that's his full-time job now. But I remember reading something about that Charlie Brooker had written about this song like years ago. I remember that. And I tried to find it, and I was able to find it. And he said, I've not heard the Sandy Tom single all the way through yet, but I've seen the TV ad about 6 billion times, and the short poxy burst on that is more than enough to convince me that her sudden rise to stardom wasn't the end result of a shrewd marketing campaign. Then the implications are terrible. To believe the official story that thousands of people voluntarily subjected themselves to this shit online, then recommend it to their friends, is to lose your faith in mankind completely. So look, I think that's a fair point. That
That's
the
true,
marketing
yes.
campaign is
At least-
terrible,
yeah,
but the
at least-
alternative is worse.
Yes,
and
no.
that is that people actually just went and bought this.
That this was an authentic viral hit.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
So I don't know.
Man.
Look, lyrical highlights. They can't be many.
Oh, look,
They're all
at
highlights.
the end of the
aren't they?
chorus, she says, I was born too late to a world that doesn't care. Trust me, Sharon, nobody in the 60s would have given a shit either, and punk rockers would have spat directly into your
Yeah,
face.
exactly.
Much like Alanis Morissette's song Ironic, even at the time, people pointed out the obvious flaw in the title. And much like Alanis herself, this made Sandy defensive, and I believe her argument was, look, I know punk rockers don't wear flowers in their hair. The next line says, in 77 and 69, revolution was in the air. E.g., I guess she's trying to combine the popular conception of two cultural movements into a sort of quasi-sentimental generational malaise at having nothing to fight for, all by comparison to these two eras. I mean, some people might say there was plenty of shit to fight for in 2006 and indeed every year since. Maybe read a fucking newspaper. Or they might say that Radiohead managed to do it with the words, I wish it was the 60s, I wish I could be happy. That's 12 words in another much better song. Or they might say that if you have to explain the grammar of a song in interviews to your own irritation, then maybe you should have worked a bit harder in the first place instead of staring out the window and daydreaming about a time when record shops were still on top and vinyl was all that they stocked and the super info highway was still drifting out in space, ? Kids were wearing hand-me-downs and playing games meant kick-arounds and footballers still had long hair and dirt across their face.
Yeah.
Now, leaving aside the weird shit about footballers, does she realise that record shops still exist? Nobody's forcing you to use the internet. You can still play kick the can in the fucking park whenever you want. And that vinyl was a massive fucking pain in the dick, which is why most people don't use it anymore. Do you think
Yeah,
she's...
it's probably
Good
fair.
luck walking around staring into shop windows thinking about how awesome you look while listening to an entire record player in your fucking pocket.
Yeah, look, and that's the other thing about this song. The title's moronic and makes no sense, but then the rest of the lyrics are just as bad
Oh
throughout
yes,
the entire
no,
song.
it's like ironic. No matter how many times you explain, like even if we take your word for it that this is what you meant on purpose, it doesn't stop them being a big pile of crap as well.
Exactly.
It's
right.
not. There's no saving this one, love.
No.
Sorry.
So look, 10 weeks is just depressing, isn't it? I mean,
It's
that's
bad.
completely
It's
insane.
bad. This
So-
is a bad argument for a singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to agree with Chris Brooker here. I'm going to put this one down to a giant fucking, mind control conspiracy by record companies and hope that the Australian public gets some sort of pass from that.
Maybe it was just what?
10 weeks. 10
They found her
weeks.
on the internet. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe I'll
The
check this
internet's
out.
a new thing. Yeah, sure. Maybe. Let's say it's that. Quickly.
All right,
Let's
18
move on.
cents. Don't buy it under any circumstances. 466,000 listeners.
That's too many.
This must be on a playlist of like worst songs of forever or something like that ends up somewhere. But yeah, it's terrible. All right, up next. Speaking of terrible, the U2 and Green Day, the Saints are coming.
Only 1 week for
One
this
week
one.
for this. So this is a cover of the Skids' 1979 song, and it is not great. The original is about a billion times better, but given the parties involved, that's rather obvious, I would have suggested. So yeah.
Yeah, the Skids were a Scottish punk band. This song is from their second album, Scared to Dance, and only got to the giddy heights of 48 on the UK charts in 1978. The members went on to form Big Country, who you might know from their one hit in a Big Country. That's like sort of C-tier, AOR, 80s supermarket rock, But yeah, I'm with you. Like, I do prefer the original, but I've got to say, I don't think, unlike Chris Brown and bloody the Waitresses song.
Yeah.
I don't think the gap of quality is so big.
No.
here. It's not a particularly memorable 1979 song, frankly.
No.
And I don't think this is too... maybe I might just be getting, some sort of weird psychological situation after having to listen to I Wish I Was a Punk Rock with fucking flowers in my hair. But I don't think... This isn't that terrible. It's just kind of...
It's just kind of
It's just
bland.
kind of mediocre, yeah.
But look, the single was recorded as a charity single to
Yes,
assist
to
the
a good
victims of
purpose.
Hurricane Katrina. So
Yeah.
them doing this song, you're right.
It's like a kind of Live Aid situation. Like, it's just like, well, this is sort of mediocre, but it's to a good cause, I guess. So,
Yeah, look, do you think though, I mean, obviously if your house was destroyed by Hurricane Katrina, all of your possessions were lost, you had nothing but the clothes on your back, no food, no clean water, nothing, and you were approached by a charity and they said, people have donated money, we can assist you in getting your life back together, and you said, oh, what people? And they said, U2 and Green Day recorded a cover of the 1979 Skid song, The Saints Are Coming,
What?
and then they played you the song, and you realised the money you're about to receive was a result of this song. Do you think you'd say, oh, thanks, I'm good?
I might say, why don't they cover the Waitresses?
Probably would say that.
Over the helicopters go, what? Who? The Skids? Who
Yeah,
are
that's
they?
just true. I don't know. Look, the good people of New Orleans would, do you think they'd rather drown than have the levee rebuilt from funds generated by this song, do you think? I don't really know.
If I was on a rooftop, I'd rather the funds to repair the levee come from U2 and Green Day doing The Saints Are Coming than Madonna covering When the Levee Was Dry.
Yeah.
Than good old boys drinking whiskey and rye.
It's New Orleans, though. I mean, don't you want Phil Anselmo covering an I Hate God song? Do you think that's probably what you would prefer?
But which song, Ben? Perhaps Masters of Legalised Confusion? That's kind of appropriate in the aftermath. White Neighbour? That seems fairly appropriate. What about New Orleans is the New Vietnam?
That's true, yeah.
That seems, on an outside chance, maybe Sister Fucker 2?
Sister Blocker Part 2, yeah. I think so. Hard to know, but yeah, I'm not sure. I think
I
the
didn't
people
actually
knew.
know they were from New Orleans.
Oh, they are, yes, they are.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, look, anyway, I guess we can't be mad at these guys for
Oh
donating the funds
no!
over there.
Like the Live Aid stuff, but as you say, it is pretty dull. Like,
Yeah, look, this is the only number one song for Green Day. So
Yeah.
we've spoken about U2 before. I don't
in
think
the
we need to-
mainstream, they would have been
Yeah,
on the alternative charts all
they've
the
sold,
time.
they've sold a fuckload of records, but yeah, we
Yeah.
don't. U2. We've spoken about Boner and The Edge enough. We don't need to talk about those guys much anymore. But yeah, Green Day. This is their only number one.
You
Even
would've-
that time of their live
Yeah.
song.
Absolutely, you would have thought that would have been.
That was around everywhere for like 5 years, but that only made it to number 2 on the charts. So this is the only time we get to talk about Green Day. You got anything to say about them?
Yeah, Green Day frontman Billy Joel Armstrong, he told reporters why he chose to participate in this. We hope that by collaborating with you two, we'll remind the public that the people of the Gulf Coast are still suffering. Katrina was last year, obviously, and still need help to rebuild their lives. The Edge and Music Rising are providing support to schools, churches, musicians, etc. We're honoured to be asked and proud to be part of that sort of thing, you know.
Yep.
Much like a lot of Bono's good works, that seems undeniably well-intentioned, but also a good bit of self-publicity, especially covering a song called The Saints Are Coming. I personally preferred Kanye West's George Bush Does Not Care About Black People, which he said on a fucking telethon while standing next to a visibly uncomfortable Mike Myers. It's really heartfelt and touching. I rewatched it. He only just released his second album. He looks really young and awkward and is clearly just winging it and looks like he's about to panic or cry. But, I mean, he's absolutely right about what he's saying. He's just saying, you know, when it's black people, they're looters. And when it's white people, they're, you know, looking for food and stuff like that. And he doesn't have that sort of bombastic ego that he has now where he just off the dome. But, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think, I mean, I remember watching that recently as well. And I think Mike Myers just keeps reading off the teleprompter, doesn't he? Just like
yes.
And
he said, apparently he said, like, just before they went on, he said, like, he said, I'm just going to, you know, improvise. And he's like, oh, okay. But he didn't know what he was actually going to say. So, yeah, like you said, Mike Myers keeps sort of glancing back and forth, waiting for someone to tell him what to do and then stiltedly reading the prompter. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, those charity telethon things never go any deeper than we need money, really. I just watched bits of an Australian flood relief telethon that managed to go the full length, I can't remember how long, it was like 3 hours or something, without one person saying, hey, what happened to the government's $5 billion disaster relief fund, or why the fuck do we have to do this in the first place, or is this just going to keep happening every fucking year from now on?
That's true.
It's just people answering phones, and we need money, here's people, and, you know, it was really rare and nice to see someone actually say something. I'm saying we need an Australian Kanye, Ben, and his name is Tony Barber.
Oh,
or maybe I'm open to
so.
Suggestions as well if you got any better ideas.
That Antipodean Chris Brown impersonator could double up as a
Chris Lilly X Brown
Chris
collab.
Lilly, for sure. No,
sorry, why I interrupted you? Did you have something you wanted to say about Green Day?
Oh, not really. I mean, look, this is all you need to know. Facebook founder and Green Day fan Mark Zuckerberg asked Billy Joe Armstrong to play at his wedding in 2012. If Mark Zuckerberg likes your band, then it's definitely shit. I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, yep.
That seems like a dude whose finger is so far off the pulse of any popular culture, and it never has been, that if he's like, my favourite band's Green Day, it's like, well, fucking hell, they must be
You don't want to be known as the Facebook
garbage
of punk, do you?
No, exactly
no
right.
one wants
so, look, Green Day song American Idiot, written in 2004. Things could get much worse, it would appear. So that came... this is, just something that I was reading the other day.
Yeah, that was Gulf War era. Gulf War 2.
Yeah, so he's like, I'm writing a song about how bad America is right now, but don't worry, we're going to write this song and things are going to be on an upward trajectory. And then it's just like, I don't know, bro, you're going to elect the dude that's sells steak and is a reality TV show host in about 10 years. So see how that part goes. But look, anyway, so South China University of Technology, they determined that American Idiot is apparently the most dangerous song to listen to in a car. According to their research, listening to higher tempo tunes is more likely to make you drive faster and risk dangerous manoeuvres.
Okay.
So American Idiot, which is 189 BPMs, came top of their tally, followed by Miley Cyrus's Party in the USA and The Killer's Mr. Brightside. These are all dangerous songs, apparently.
I wouldn't recommend to listen to any dance music there.
That's what I was going to say. The South
it's
China
pretty fast for a punk song, but yeah.
That university obviously wasn't listening to any death metal with blast beats or any speedcore or extra tone. American Idiot...
Or Here's Johnny.
Right? Well, yeah, exactly right. You know, I think speedcore gets up to 250 BPMs purportedly. Extra tone like over 1,000. So if American Idiot will make you, drive dangerously, then that shit will make you drive off a bridge into the sun. I think so. Don't know.
Trip J did once ran a funny just call-in thing one afternoon when I was listening, where they were just like. One of the announcers said, I nearly crashed my car yesterday because I was listening to this song. And it just said, ring in if you've prammed your car from listening to a song, and like dozens of people rang in and said how they'd just been gone a bit too fast, or like they were tapping their foot like at the lights or something, and then tapped the pedal or something like that. It was just, I thought that would be a fairly isolated thing, but
it happens all the time. So don't go listening to American
Beat
Idiot. It's
or
the most
American
dangerous song that exists.
I'll try and resist. I'll try and hold back.
I've deleted all Green Day off my iPod, Tom. So it's completely gone. So 1 week for this, $2.82.
Jeez.
So I don't know if you buy this off Discogs for $2.82. If Discogs then pass the money on to
it may have
Hurricane
been
Katrina
only
victims.
released
Oh,
as on a charity
5
album
copies,
or something.
probably.
Yeah,
Exactly right. So
I should have checked that.
and
It's
then-
not. That's
No.
not.
And then 17 mil for U2, 20 mil for Green Day. There you go. What are the lyrical highlights? It's all about the Saints, is that right?
If I had to guess, I'd say they chose the first 4 lines of Rising Sun at the start that Billy Joe sings, just because it's got the word New Orleans in it.
Oh, okay.
Presumably
They've added-
not because it goes on to make it sound like the shittest
So this is a
place
mashup.
on earth.
This is a mashup.
Sort of, but really he just sort of sings the first 4 lines of New Orleans, sadly, which doesn't match the rest of the song. It's just because it's got of Rising Sun, just because it's got New Orleans in it, and it makes New Orleans sound like a poverty
Shithole.
and crime-ridden shithole. The original Skids song seems to be maybe about an absent father, using the weather as a kind of metaphor, although the lyrics do work in this version. So props to whoever picked it, if it was Bono or someone else. Like, they are weirdly kind of similar to it. The Saints are coming, I say, no matter how I try, I realise there's no reply. A drowning sorrow floods the deepest grief, how long now? Until a weather change condemns belief, how long now? When the night watchman lets in the thief, what's wrong now? Now, the last line isn't in the original, Ben, but you know Bono, he never saw a lily that he didn't think would look better with a thick coat of gold paint dripping all over it. So, yeah, I think that's some sort of Bush reference or something. But still, the first the 2 lines there, a drowning sorrow floods the deepest grief until the weather change condemns belief, that's just coincidentally happens to be about. And also the trying to call the Saints, but they're not, but realising they're not coming, like, you know.
Did the Skids provide a response? Did they say, look, our lyrics are like our children, how dare you take what we've done and then change it for your own, publicity?
I assume they were too busy on a big country reunion tour, as part of a 20-song 80s bracket.
And then the Skids as songwriters of that song, they would have received some royalties from this. So did they keep them, or were they forced to give them to Hurricane Katrina victims? What if the members of the Skids are like, I'm fucking destitute, bro. Like, I need this money, and it's like, you got to give it to Hurricane Katrina. It's like,
well, like I said, the highest this got was number 48 in the UK, the original, and I think back then that meant about 500 copies.
Yeah,
so they probably need the money.
Probably, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, good on them for they're back. Maybe they toured off the back of this. Maybe they played around. Everyone just went, it's from that Green Day thing about floods. Yeah. Cool. So up next for 2 weeks, Scissor Sisters. I don't feel like dancing.
Yes.
Now, faint praise, I know, but this is one of the better songs of this year.
Yes, I would say so.
So there's been a few shit boxes in there, but this is better. Look, I dare say this would still get people up on the dance floor. It's a very dancey song. Makes a welcome change from that Sandy Tom bullshit and whatever the fuck U2 and Green Day were doing. But yeah.
I reckon it's fun as hell. This is the first song from their second album, Ta-Da, which is good name, I reckon.
Yeah.
I personally preferred their previous big single, Take Your Mama, which is lyrically great also, and more of an Elton John style piano rocker than this, which this is more like full disco, basically.
Yeah.
Which is a bit ironic given that I think Elton John co-wrote this.
He did, yeah, correct. Yeah.
So I don't know how that worked, whether he listened to that other song and got to know it and was like, geez, this sounds a lot like me, or they said in interviews, I did try to look this up but I couldn't find it, whether they said in interviews this was influenced by Elton John and then he liked that so much that he was like, do you want to do something on our next song, but then they did this with it, which doesn't sound as much like an Elton John song. I don't reckon that, Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, you're right. So, co-written by Elton John, and it does sound a bit like the Bee Gees, but look,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, definitely. He's got a bit of that sort of high-pitched
He
falsetto
definitely
thing.
does, yeah.
Yeah, Elton also does play the piano on this track, but again, the piano is not to the forefront as much on this. But he was clearly a big fan. I think this connection gave me the idea that these guys were actually a UK group or like transatlantic.
Yeah.
But no, they are as New Yorkers hating Donald Trump while a rat drags a slice of pizza into a sewer full of Ninja Turtles. Yeah,
Absolutely. Look,
that's my new analogy that I've made up.
yeah, the thing I like about the Scissor Sisters the most, Tom, is that when they broke big and were asked about the band name, they didn't try and come up with some fake revisionist bullshit like, oh, when we were at college and art school, you know, we knew these sisters. There was these twin sisters that we went to school with at art school, and they always carried scissors around, Tom, because they were cutting out magazine stuff and books, and they were making these amazing collages.
Oh, yeah, Pearl Jam's cool.
and we're cutting them all out, doing all that.
Pearl used to make jam.
Exactly.
And it was really good.
So we saw the sisters, and we used to call them the Scissor Sisters. They always had scissors cutting stuff out. It was just like, yeah, it's lesbian scissoring, dude. Like, it's basically
Yep.
what the name is. They were quite upfront about it, and it's all good. Although they were originally known as the Fribulating Scissor Sisters. So they cleaned it up for commercial purposes, Tom. So I'm not sure why this took off, but my band, the Blowjob Brothers, didn't. I think it just shows a disproportionate level of homophobia directed towards gay males than gay females.
That's a double standard, Ben.
I think it is, yeah, definitely. And look, I hope that we live in a world one day where people think, yeah, Blowjob Brothers is completely fine. Just two brothers giving each other blowjobs. As a band name, that works, doesn't it? So it's okay. Or maybe it doesn't, I'm not sure.
No.
Who has the best stage name of the Scissor Sisters? There's Jake Shears, Baby Daddy, Del Marquis, Animatronic, or Randy Real. Not his real name.
Oh, look, Animatronic is a quality drag name.
Yeah, it's
I give
great.
it 5 snatched wigs out of 5.
Yeah, nice.
Especially seeing as it's not actually drag queen. That's the one female member.
I know, exactly.
She's given herself a drag name.
Animatronic. It's really good.
That's
So,
right.
look, I like a good origin story for bands, and these guys
who
have
doesn't?
a pretty good one. So, Jake Shears and Baby Daddy moved to New York City. They began producing music together. They released a couple of singles to a little success. Sort of appeared at some underground clubs in New York, etc.
Yep.
Then on a trip to Disneyland, the pair met Animatronic at a screening of Michael Jackson's Captain EO. During a subsequent teacup ride, they discovered they had a lot in common and, quote, I really thought she was a freak, but when I started singing Another Part of Me, she showed me the best moonwalk I've ever seen. So they stayed in contact. Animatronic ran a weekly cabaret event known as Knockoff at a club called the Slipper Room in New York, where she hired eccentric acts to perform. And a performer dressed up as a giant vulva enfolded members of the audience in a labia while singing Lick Me in My Wet Spot to the tune of Pat Benatar's Hit Me With Your Best Shot. So after that, they just went, yeah, you're in. So she ended up joining the group. And, the rest is history. So, yeah, for sure. Which is nice. And let's just step back a bit. Are you familiar with Captain EO? Familiar with that?
Yes, I watched some of it today.
Yeah,
but yes,
so-
just in case the crowd...
So it was a 1986 American 3D science fiction film shown exclusively at Disney theme parks from 1986 through to 1998. So you'd go to the theme park, you'd go on some rides, and then you'd go and watch this Captain EO sort of 20-minute short film, I guess. It stars Michael Jackson, was written by George Lucas and directed by Francis Ford Coppola. It goes for 17 minutes and cost $23 million. So it's safe to say no expense was spared. I don't know how much of that was cocaine for Francis Ford Coppola, but that seems crazy to spend 23 mil on that.
It's bananas.
Yep.
I mean, what I like about that story is, in all honesty, it's possible that those 3 weirdos were the only people who walked into that dusty-ass room the entire day.
Exactly.
So I'd call that kismet. Do you remember I told you, like that time I met my wife on top of the Maya building? Remember that? We
Yes,
got chatting,
sorry.
and sure enough, it turned out we'd both snuck up there illegally to try and take a shit on top of Sandy Tom's car, which
Yeah.
was parked 18 stories below. Once I saw her pull down the strides, I knew I was in love,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was weird. And it just happened that we were up there at the same time.
Both up there doing that,
Yeah.
for sure.
No, have you seen Captain EO?
Oh, I watched it on YouTube, yeah. It's fucking weird.
It's like we were talking about with, what was that other one? Was it the Smooth Criminal
Yeah.
era Michael Jackson, where it was just like he got to that point where he'd just stay up late watching TV and whatever he Moonraker,
Moonwalker,
like
yeah.
whatever he saw on TV, he would ring up and go, "I want to do this, I want to do that." Like,
Yeah.
and obviously he'd just seen Star Wars and gone,
Yeah.
"Okay, can we do Star Wars?" And it just looks, it's got the wacky puppets. There's like three different C-3POs and lots of little cute puppets and stuff, and then
Yeah. It's like, we need a short film for Disneyland. It's like, oh, okay,
It's like
cool.
a sort of-
Michael Jackson wants to do it. It's just like, he wants Francis Ford Coppola to direct it. It's like, what? But then, of course, it's like, well, here's 10 mil for 15 minutes work, and it's like, yeah, okay, I'll get in. That'll fund half my next film or some shit.
I mean,
so.
it was, the whole point of it was that it was exclusive. You could only
Yeah.
see it there. Nowadays, everything's on fucking
Exactly,
YouTube. But yeah, there's like a Miyazaki cartoon that they only show if you visit the Miyazaki studios in Japan.
Okay,
which
yeah.
you probably find that,
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
But interesting, they showed it 86 through 98, but then when Michael Jackson died, they brought it back for a short time. So as a tribute to MJ, you could watch Captain EO there. Now you have to log into YouTube to see it. So, yeah, there you go. So, yeah, that's completely whack. But the Scissor Sisters first gained some traction with a cover of Pink Floyd's Comfortably Numb. We all know the cover
Yeah.
is always better than the original, and that's no exception.
Good
Tom.
cover.
Yeah,
Lots of good
absolutely. So, look, we all know, well, we don't know. The group had no other number one hits in Australia,
Oh, okay.
or top 10 hits. So they kind of fit into one hit wonder territory, but to be fair, I doubt that mainstream success was ever the goal for the group.
No.
So I found this interesting. So artists who have sold over 2 million copies of an album in the UK in the 21st century: James Blunt, Robbie Williams, Keane, Dido, Coldplay, Norah Jones, Ed Sheeran, Adele, and the Scissor Sisters.
I mean,
So all just bland as
Yeah.
fuck, boring shit.
Exactly.
And then this really stands out.
If you
So-
had to listen to one of those albums at the gym next time, what would it be? I mean,
Yep.
you'd pick this in a heartbeat and you'd use the James Blunt to prop the window open while you threw the Ed Sheeran into a storm drain. You got to be careful, Ben. If that landed on the street, some child might get hold of it.
That's true,
And,
yeah.
You know, it's not to be trifled with.
Oh,
if
a
there's
gateway
no
drug
canals,
to other garbage.
the
so-
weakest shit ever invented.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. They did get songs played on alternative other stuff.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I said, Triple J played the Comfortably Numb song. They played, the
Yeah, this
Take
was
Your
just
Mama,
this was just a crossover hit that made it to number one. But
Yes,
yeah, certainly
yeah.
in the alternate scene, they had a lot
Yeah.
more songs that I knew certainly. Yeah.
lyrically, the lyrics and arrangement and falsetto vocal parts work as a response to Leo Sayers' 1976 hit "You Make Me Feel Like Dancing," whereas this is "I Don't Feel, like, dancing, which Ray Parker Jr. of Ghostbusters fame claims to have written and had pinched from him in demo
Oh,
form, supposedly.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Ray
so-
Park Jr., there's all kinds of lawsuits.
I know, yeah. I like it because, like Take Your Mama, it's not a complicated idea, but it's original enough to stand out. There really aren't many songs about not wanting to dance.
Exactly, that's true, yeah.
Wake up in the morning with a head like, what you done? This used to be the life, but I don't need another one. You like cutting up and carrying on. You wear them gowns. So how come I feel so lonely when you're up getting down? It's basically just saying to your boyfriend, look, I know you like dancing, but I can't be fucked, so I'll
Yep.
be back at home. Meet me back there.
Yeah, look, it's a
Later on.
very fun song where it's just about staying at home and kind of being a bit depressed, I guess, being like,
Yeah,
so-
but it's really perversely upbeat and
Yeah,
disco.
yeah.
It sounds like the song that you don't want to, you can't be bothered dancing to. It's
Exactly. So yeah, for sure, it's good. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
As we said, 53 cents for this, 3 mil. So this has still got 3 million.
They'd still get club play, I reckon.
Oh,
they
definitely.
had more albums than I thought. I listened to a couple of their albums last year when I was trying to find stuff for lockdown, and they're really fun. There's heaps of good songs on their albums.
Yeah, they've been. Are they broken up or are they just on a hiatus or something? I don't know. They haven't released anything new for some time.
Not for a while, no. But they had more albums following this one. I mean, so.
Oh, but you know, you can be hiatus. You can come back anytime you want, can't you?
Sure.
So who knows? So there we go. So that's good. Speaking of good, oh no, we're not speaking of good. We're speaking of terrible. Damien Leith, Night of My Life.
Give me some reggae.
Next song. It had to fucking happen. It was inevitable. The Idol winner from 2006.
At least they're
here we
thinning
go.
out a bit as we go on.
The other week we had like the winner, the runner-up, the fucking
shockers.
final 12, Casey Donovan's, fake lover,
Shannon Knoll,
all this shit. So this year we've only had this dude. So look, an acoustic ballad delivered with all the passion you might expect from someone performing a cover outside of a hot dog stand in the foyer of Kmart. Thinking it was a Shannon Knoll original and just hoping to scrape together enough loose change to buy a hot dog for lunch from the aforementioned stand, but knowing in their heart of hearts they'd fall short and would only end up with enough money to get a hot dog of even more dubious origin from a service station located 3 kilometres away. That's sort of the passion I'm feeling here.
That's right. Admittedly, that's not an uncommon level of passion to get from a Australian Idol contestant.
Yeah.
But yeah, he really does bring it home. He's got the look. He's got the vibe. Yep. I mean, he's really like, you say hot dog, I say maybe a traveller's pie, Ben.
Yeah, that's true.
The only pie that dares to ask, what if a pie looked even more like a tiny coffin than a pie already does?
That's true.
Have you tried the traveller's pie?
I haven't, no.
You know one of them? It's the pie favoured by jet-setting international sophisticates on their way from Rome to Los Angeles via a connecting flight in Dubbo.
Okay, nice.
It's basically just someone thought, how can we make a pie more hand-friendly?
Yep.
What if we made it longer and thinner?
That's good. That's good. That's the way forward.
Otherwise, did not improve it in any way.
Good. Well, it's the filling that you probably want to work on rather than the shape. That's the problem with airline food. It's not the shape of that airline Parmigiana that's causing me to not want to eat it.
Or maybe focus your energies on, hey, what if we improved bain-marie technology since it was invented by the French in 1902?
Yeah.
It's a way
we're
of
gonna do that.
keeping pastry items warm in a way that doesn't turn them into a soggy wad of starch.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Yeah. Fucking hell. Look, this fits firmly into dude performing at Irish Murphy's on a Wednesday night that wasn't bad, but also wasn't good enough for you to bother finding out his name or when he
100%.
was performing next.
Yeah,
So,
long-term residency written on the back of the toilet door type.
yeah, how someone makes it from okay solo acoustic cover dude to winner of a talent contest broadcast on national television is anyone's guess. So
God
this is
damn it.
pretty bland. Look, I don't know.
If you look this up on Genius, by the way, the autofill cover image is from an album entitled The 101 Greatest Housework Songs. And we both know it absolutely doesn't even earn a spot on that list
No, fuck
unless
no.
you're yelling at me to clean behind the toilet properly or you'll threaten to play this again.
Yeah, that's how you're going to get housework done as a sheer threat. So this is Guantanamo Bay level material, isn't it? I think. So,
Yes.
look, he still appears to be releasing music, I assume to fulfill his own creative desires, as I doubt anyone could possibly want to hear his album Roy, a tribute to Roy Orbison. Do you want to hear Pretty Woman performed by a man generally accustomed to busking for hot dog money? Probably not. Or songs from Ireland, or Two of Us, songs of Lennon and McCartney. Do you think you want to hear any of that stuff?
I looked him up. Apparently he was performing in Burnie last year.
Oh, good.
And charging $48.50 a ticket. I one out of those two facts I found believable.
$48. Is that Australian dollars?
I know, it was a whole fucking performance too. It was like a play with him playing both roles, really leaning heavily into that Irish nonsense. But yeah.
Yeah, look, his website states over the years Damien has crafted the best performances for all occasions and every environment. From MC hosting to performing with his full band, Damien is a natural born entertainer. Now, that raises a few issues.
It does. I mean, admittedly, Damien can sing and play guitar. He's got a nice falsetto, hence the Roy Orbison thing, I guess. He was also a semi-professional musician in Ireland. where he was also a citizen when he won Australian Idol, the amateur Australian singing competition. Now, some might call that flagrantly dishonest, Ben. Some might even get angry. But every time I try to muster an emotion while looking at a picture of Damien Leith, my brain simply slides into neutral.
Yeah.
It's like trying to maintain an erection while laying face down in a bath of chilled porridge.
Yeah, I think
Just
that's-
impossible. He's just like 2 drops of liquid Prozac into the eyeballs.
Yeah.
Some people, have also suggested that at 30, Leith was too old to be a pop idol. Now, that's completely unfair. Pop music is still ultimately about music. And speaking of music, you can listen to all of Damien's songs right now on his MySpace page. That sounds like a shit joke, but it's not. You can. His MySpace page is still up.
I'm going to check
and
that
running.
out straight away. That's awesome. What I found interesting about his website, Tom, is that it says that, as we mentioned, he's crafted the best performances for all occasions.
Yes.
And every environment.
That's a
weddings.
That's a big brief.
Just the Hague for war crime sort of
That's right.
trials.
Ceremony to welcome invaders from another planet, show them what human culture looks like.
Exactly right.
Camp
So,
David, trying to get the Israelis and the Palestinians to, find some common ground.
for sure, definitely.
He's got music for all
Shannon
of that.
Knowles' wedding. It doesn't really matter, just
Shannon Knowles' next wedding.
next wedding. Definitely all occasions and every environment. That is a bold fucking
That is a
claim.
bold claim.
But look, he's a natural born entertainer, so which is in the next sense. So let me ask you a question, Tom. How likely are you to sign up for the Damien Leith Academy? At just $97 a month, you get songwriting course, singing intensive course, unlimited access to Damien Leith Academy, monthly live calls that keep you accountable and motivated. Now, I'm not sure I could think of a worse way to spend $97 a month. The website has that 1990s infomercial vibe, singing lessons, access to videos, improve your songwriting, all this $2,000 worth of value for just $299. Of course, Damien himself has valued 2 30-minute Zoom lessons at $1,800, so I'm not sure what the fuck is going on there. So, yeah.
How much could you teach anyone about anything in 2 30-minute Zoom lessons?
I don't know, but it's $2,000 worth of value. So I just play this chord and sing this, and it's just like the problem with singing lessons is that you can either sing or you can't. I understand that yes, you can improve. There's certain techniques that people can use to improve their voice, but if I just jumped on there and said, Damien, can you help me out? I don't really know whether there's a lot he could do over two times 30-minute Zoom lessons. But look, I don't know, Tom. He is great for all occasions and every environment, including
true.
Zoom calls. So that's that. From what I understand,
Every environment does cover
it does.
Zoom calls.
It
That's
does.
true.
That is included under that umbrella, so it's okay. And he is a natural-born entertainer. So I think even if things go awry and he says, look, I can't really help you out, I'm just like, well, Damien, can I have a 30-minute Zoom concert? Because, you are a natural-born entertainer for every environment. So look, that could be okay. That could be okay.
Maybe.
Look, he's also a radio announcer in the Illawarra area, Tom. And he purportedly won an ACRA, an Australian Commercial Radio Award, for his parody recording of Mustang Sally titled COVID Sally, which was ironically about as funny as contracting and subsequently dying from coronavirus. So you can also check out some of the wackiest moments on the show, such as things go wrong in the bathroom, the Queen on Instagram, and that time Damien gives Stolzy tablets from France.
Oh, wow.
Now-
Remember when that happened? Fuck.
Look, I best not besmirch the name of one of Illawarra's finest radio announcers. Make sure you tune in to Damien, Jaden, Straney every day on 96.5 FM. I should point out they are the sponsors of today's podcast, Tom.
God damn it, Ben. When will they pay us to run one of those bullshit FM shows? Okay, at 43, I'm a few decades young, but still, I reckon we could do it,
Yep.
You don't even need to work a desk these days.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have to pretend to like Nickelback, but would you be up for it? I
Yeah.
mean, sure, we'd have to move to Illawarra, probably get divorced.
Yeah.
Think of all the gold drive time chat you could get from complaining about your ex-wife, the child support payments you can't afford, and getting back on the dating scene, Ben.
I know,
mean,
it's
can
wacky.
you make head nor tail of this Tinder thing, Ben? What's the deal with that?
What is the deal with airline food as well? Those pies
Oh,
that they serve
man.
that look like a coffin. So the problem, it's a good idea, Tom, and I like that. But what you might notice with the Damien Jade and Straney show, and this is the case with every fucking three-person morning FM radio show, is that there's two dudes, so that's okay.
Yep.
But one of us would have to use our real name, and one of us would have to have a wacky fucking nickname, and then we'd have to get a chick as well. So it raises the question, do you want your own name, or do you want to have one of the wacky nicknames? You can be, what about Tom and Boner? I'll be Boner, and we'll get Mary or some shit.
Okay, you can
We'll
be
find something.
Boner, but as a reward, you get to press the sound effect buttons.
Yes.
Whereas I have to do you're complaining about my ex-wife, which means I'm going to have to get married and divorced before
true.
then. But I reckon I can do it on the drive down to Illawarra.
It's Tom, Jade and Boner on 96.5 FM. Remember that time I gave Stoltzy tablets from France?
Oh, mate, you are incorrigible.
Sounds hilarious. So look,
Boing.
anyway. But look, you're going to get some great stuff on that radio show. He is a natural born entertainer, and the radio does include every environment. So what are the lyrical highlights of this?
Well, like that
there
other
any?
Dog Shit Idol song we did, this was written to be recorded by the last two contestants of the series.
yeah.
In this case, that was Leith and Jessica Malboy, who actually went on to be far
Did this
better
guy beat
known.
Jessica Malboy?
Yep.
Jesus.
And she went on to be, she's in movies and shit now.
Yep.
And was released by whoever won, just to preclude any tiny remaining shred of unlicensed artistic creativity might have gotten through by accident. Leith won, and the rest is history, provided you define history as a song nobody gives a shit about. Originally written by Richard Wacker and Lee Kmaballs, this song tells the story of a night, but what sort of a night, Tom? The night when you win a reality TV show, of course, because this kind of moment is only on loan and it won't be too long till it leaves us behind. And when it's all over, I want you to know that I was with you when I had the night of my life.
Wow.
Now, he may have been old by idol standards at 30, but if it was the best night of his life, I feel genuinely kind of sad and sorry for the guy. I mean, for all of us, really. Life's so short, Ben, but, you just naturally assume there'll always be some better moment coming later on. But maybe there won't, Maybe that was the last best one you'll ever have, It's dumb, but it kind of makes me choke up a bit. Hang on. Sorry, let me look at his photo again. Oh, that's better. Oh, it's like a vein full of lithium. Whew. Oh, man, that receding hairline. Thanks, Damien. All right, quickly, let's move on before the
I know what
Damien
you
wears
mean.
off.
It is a bit sad. I mean, I think about probably the best night of my life, and you sort of hope that you'll be able to recapture that sort of feeling again. And I sort of thinking about it now, that time that Stoltzy gave me tablets from France, and it just sort of
mate,
just
you
one
are
of the best, one of the best nights of my life.
Yeah, that time I met my wife parking one over the edge of the Myer building onto Sandy Tom's roof.
Exactly.
That was great. Isn't it?
So 66 cents for this, that's way too much money. Do not do that.
insane.
And 36,000 listeners on
man.
Spotify.
That's about what I would have
yeah,
thought.
that's what I thought.
Still
as
too
well.
many. And 36,000 of them would be on winners of Idol playlists.
Oh, it'd be a winner, yeah, Idol winners playlist, exactly. So no one's selecting any of his songs to listen to.
The irony is not irony, I don't know if this qualifies as irony, but he's not terrible. It's just that, like what you would assume from Australian Idol, it's just
bland.
not good enough to be bought by a record company, which is why he was never a success in Ireland fully, which is why he never made a pop career here. He's like a qualified chemist or something. He doesn't need the money. He just likes the idea of being a pop star.
Yeah.
But he just isn't quite good enough, which should be what Australian Idol was called, the isn't quite good enough show.
Yeah.
Mixed with the deluded fuck knuckle hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is where they weed out the insane people.
Yeah, for sure. Look, that's the thing, you're right. He could have just went and done his job that he's qualified for, but I guess, Tom, when you're a natural born entertainer, you just have to...
True, I forgot about that element.
It's a calling,
Yeah,
Tom.
I forgot
He's a
about the
natural
every
born
environment thing.
entertainer. Yeah, he's crafted the best performances for all occasions and every environment.
That's
so,
true. And when every environment does include the Bernie Sports Tavern
exactly.
at 5 p.m. on a Sunday.
Exactly.
You and the dogs.
That's the
sharing
calling.
space.
That's the
right.
calling time of being a natural. You can't turn off that creative tap, unfortunately. So look.
Yeah.
So last song of the week for 3 weeks. One week
Of
this
the
week.
year, yep.
Come in for 2 next week. But it's Beyonce.
Oh, thank goodness.
Irreplaceable. So we've got Beyonce on. We've had Beyonce Light earlier in Rihanna, which is a Beyonce knockoff. But look, Tom, even Beyonce has gone weak ass ballad on this
I mean,
one.
she had plenty of them, but yeah, by number one standards of hers.
This has got some quote hip hop drums, I guess I'm going to say, over some acoustic action. So I guess we could call this one a thugged out ballad. Is that how you're referring to it?
I was going to ask, would you call this more ho-wop or more Playboy rap?
Oh, it's probably more Playboy rap.
It's definitely
than
thugged
ho-wop.
out, whatever it is.
It's
We
definitely
can
thugged
agree
out,
with
so.
that.
I don't know. What do the Bayhive think of this one? Do you know, Tom? Do you know what they're feeling on this? Do you know how you become a member of the Bayhive? Like, do you...
Is it Bayhive or Beehive? I've only seen it written down. I was
think
never
it's
sure.
Bayhive.
Bayhive.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make sense, would it? It's Beyonce.
Yeah. So,
Beyonce.
I mean, do you just... So, for example, do I just say, I like Beyonce, I'm a Beyonce fan, so then you're in the Bayhive? Or is there some sort of initiation ritual or ceremony? Do I need to go to Brash's and just start smashing up everything that's not a Beyonce display, and then they go, all right, you're in the Bayhive now, you proved yourself? I don't really know how it works, but anyway.
I'm not sure.
Maybe I'll never know. Neo wrote this as a country song,
Okay.
if you can believe that. He was going to thought that Shania might sing it, or Dolly Parton, one of those country people, but it ended up with Beyonce, and if it was a country song, it might just be the same song, but less thugged out. So they just get rid of the drums, because the drums is the hip hop part.
but
the rest of it's just...
You're not left with much. I
No,
mean,
you're not.
Speaking of drums, did you watch the video?
Yes.
Yeah, the music video was directed by Anthony Mandler and served as the debut performance of Beyonce's all-female band Sugar Mama. Now, I would love to tell you what the band were like, but they are clearly not playing anything even vaguely approximating this song. So I can only comment on their miming and haircut having skills, for which I'd give them about a B-. It sort of looks like Beyonce saw L7 on TV 15 years late and thought, that looks like fun. They know Wicked Wisdom, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that's absolutely not Wicked Wisdom. But
It is kind of weird because, like you say, this was presumably, if this was originally intended to be a country and western song, then it would have been originally intended to have instrumentation.
Yeah.
But then there isn't really in this. Like you say, there's a drum beat, but I mean, it could easily be a drum machine. There's a faint hint of guitar, like you might hear, if you opened a window on a summer evening and just heard drifting across from another neighbourhood over somebody... playing
so what are the Sugar Mamas up to? Are they still Beyonce's backing band?
They appeared in a subsequent single, but I don't know whether she actually ever played live with them, like whether she brought them on stage. It just looks like one of those little vanity bands that singers do sometimes, Except like Beyonce's actually a singer already, so it's not like Wicked Wisdom. But like really, it does. It looks like she saw a grunge video way too late and went, wish I could wear cargo shorts occasionally.
A live band,
put a bit less effort into my hair, and
well, maybe if I'd like to see Sugar Mamas featuring Jada Pinkett Smith, sort of a new style Wicked Wisdom.
Yeah,
type
I mean,
thing.
imagine in her career by this point, from the age of 12, like busking in hair salons and stuff with her mad dad. Imagine how many dance routines and choreography situations Beyonce has gone through. Imagine how many different styles of dance and stuff she's done. Do you think she can headbang convincingly for one whole minute of a song? No, she cannot. She has clearly never headbanged in her
needs the
entire
neck
life.
muscles rocking, but
She looks like a shampoo commercial in Fast Forward is what she looks like. It's really weird.
Look, this is Beyonce's first and only solo number one single in Australia, which is surprising. I thought,
me too.
The Single Ladies one with put the ring on it, or Crazy in Love with Jay-Z. I thought something like that
They
would
were
hit
both
number
better
one.
than this.
Yeah, exactly, but I was wrong. She's had several US number ones.
She has, yes.
But I guess the general public in Australia were more interested in Crazy Frog and I Want to Be a Punk Rocker with Flowers in My Hair than, actual music. So
10 weeks, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Look, either way, this song was incredibly successful, topping charts charts worldwide, including in the US for 10 weeks.
Yep.
We were doing Flowers in Your Hair for 10 weeks. They were doing this for 10 weeks. That broke her previous record of 9 weeks on top with Baby Boy. And surprisingly, Crazy in Love was only there for 8 weeks. It's still her longest running US number one. So, weirdly, like you say, it's sort of seems like kind of a half-assed ballad to me. It's not terrible, but like this would be her biggest song of all time.
It does seem weird to me. It's almost one that I completely forget exists. And
me
then I remember the other
me
ones.
too. I had to re-listen to remind myself.
When the chorus kicks in, it's like, I remember that
Yeah.
now. But apart from that, I can't really remember. So, look, do you think this is obviously, as you mentioned, Beyonce's only number one in Australia? Do you think that she's prouder of this or of her appearance in Austin Powers Goldmember?
It's a shame she wasn't a bit more dynamic on screen, isn't it? Because she'd be everywhere, surely.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe she prefers music to acting, but you'd think they would have slapped her in one rom-com, right?
Oh,
I mean, like it's the same. JT was in some movies,
Definitely. I assume that I thought the same as you, that either she wasn't into it herself or something, because I would have thought, Beyonce, you could have her in all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, Lady Gaga, they trot her out for any sort of film that's got a musical bit or not these days, so I would have thought, here's a film we need someone that can sing in it or a musical thing, let's get Beyonce.
Yeah, or like a friggin' Mariah Carey style embarrassing glitter thing about, the rise to stardom of a small town girl living in a lonely world, takes the midnight train going anywhere, gets the traditional 48 hours grace period and then is world famous.
Absolutely. Look, I think they need to remake Flashdance, I think, with Beyonce.
I guess the other possible option is that she had such a shit time acting opposite Michael Caine and Mike Myers.
She went, fuck that.
And she pieced out of...
Exactly.
I mean, she looks... I mean, it goes without saying, but she looks fucking amazing in that film.
Yep.
I struggle to remember a single line that she had, but, she wasn't offensively bad.
Definitely.
I've seen worse.
Yeah, Rihanna in the fucking Battleship. Preview. I didn't watch the film. No one watched the film.
Or Oscar fucking winner and Catwoman star Halle Berry in several films, including Catwoman.
Yeah, exactly. Look, so Beyonce and Jay-Z's combined net worth is over $1 billion, which is impressive. But less impressive than Rihanna. So, I'm sort of like thinking...
takes the edge off a bit, doesn't
need to work harder, maybe buy some Burger Kings like Chris Brown, something like that, or launch your own cereal for some extra cash. Just a few ideas there, guys. So,
lift your game, guys.
Yeah, look, I guess one of the things that we haven't addressed is Beyonce... so we won't get to talk about Beyonce solo anymore, but she's obviously had a lot of singles and albums and releases since that. She did that Lemonade thing, which was sort of an album and kind of a film where she, I guess, it was mostly just interconnected music videos type thing. And, I think that was quite interesting at the time because she spoke publicly about, I guess, Jay-Z and her relationship trouble. So she sort of sung a few of the songs on Lemonade. She speaks about, Jay-Z cheating on her, which is quite a public thing to do, to sort of discuss your partner who's very popular, successful, infidelity through song, and that raised a lot of things in real life. But, I guess one of the things is the question of who was Beyonce cheated on, who did Jay-Z do that? And I think that's something that they've kept sort of quite private. But look, there's been a lot of rumour and speculation. I've done my own research time. I've sort of, pored over forums. I've spoken to people. I've sort of tried to see if I could find any information that I could about, who it might be so that we could, drop something on the podcast as a bit of an exclusive. And, I've done that and I think I know. And for the first time ever, I can tell you that Jay-Z was banging Damian Lee.
I see. I see. Well... I mean, they do say we all want what we haven't got.
That's very true.
Jay-Z is a multi-millionaire music star, but he still didn't have a pasty Irish balladeer in his jacuzzi.
No, that is correct.
He should have called Rod, Brian and Sting. They're always up for a tantric bubble bath.
They absolutely
with whoever. They're down for whatever, as the song says.
For sure. So you heard it here first.
Damian Lee.
Quite controversial. I personally.
It's never
can't
the one
believe
you
it.
expect, Vin.
It's
That's
never the
thing,
one you
know.
expect, exactly. I just thought maybe like Rihanna or something, but no, Damien, hiding in plain sight, some would say. Lyrics.
Well, as you said, this was originally written by Nao from a male perspective. Beyonce changed the pronouns. Nao said he thought about it for a bit, and then he thought this won't sound super good from a male perspective. So which it wouldn't. If you can't remember the song from the title, it's the one that starts with "to the left, to the left, to the left, to the left." Everything you own in the box to the left, in the closet, that's my stuff. Yes, if I bought it, please don't touch. And keep talking that mess, that's fine, but could you walk and talk at the same time? And it's my name that's on that jag, so remove your bags, let me call you a cab.
Yeah.
Now, that's how you do a kiss-off song.
Exactly.
None of this inviting someone over for dinner so you can ask them to go out the door again, or asking them out for a pizza and then whining like a little bitch in public for half an hour while the pizza goes cold.
Exactly.
Even you pizza-wasting fuckstick.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually like this slightly more than I remembered. The song's not that strong, but it's good lyrics, and she does... Speaking of, in the video, she does quite a good acting performance. She's just like watching this scrub movie stuff out of the house.
Yeah.
He's got this pathetic... He's got what looks like a bowling trophy and a very old VHS machine like under one arm. And then she keeps she's like shooing him out of the house the whole time. And then they get down to the driveway and then she grabs his lapel to lean in, and you think she's going to give him one last goodbye kiss, and then she like peels his jacket off his back and like folds it over her arm. It's like, that's mine as well, motherfucker.
It is, yeah. No, I agree. It is a good music video. She does that acting part well. And yeah, look, you're right, musically it's not the strongest song, but she delivers that chorus that's quite catchy.
Yeah,
with
I could still
intensity,
remember
and it's
that.
good. So
Yeah, that's fine.
absolutely. 50 cents, 33 million for Beyonce. Yep, that's a lot, but that's expected. Good times. Cool. All right, well, thank you for listening. That's it for this week.
Sure.
We're done. We'll be back next week with 2007.
All getting futuristic.
Which is we're fast approaching present day, so there'll be more Rihanna coming up soon. So
Sure.
enjoy.
So yeah.
See ya.